has been a while.
It has been a while. Am I on?
No, you're probably not.
Oh, jeez.
Hang on.
That's how long it's been.
It has been a while.
He's trying to tell me.
Wait a minute, you should be on.
I don't hear you.
Oh, that's not good.
I don't hear you either.
Matt, anything?
No,
I hear you.
All right, now I hear me.
Okay, I'm just leaving everything on. I don't know what happened here.
It's all good.
Welcome to the show. It's Erik Nagel. That is me. Phone number's on the pad data. But for those of you listening through some other means, shame on you. Subscribe to the service. That's how we get paid. 866-969-1969 is the phone number to get in touch with us on the show today. A lot of people, a lot of places, a lot of things, stuff to give away. It's almost like there's too much for 3 hours, and I'm sure I'll screw it up at some point. We've been off for a few weeks, so trying to get everything resituated.
Nah, we just roll right into it.
Well, but in true fashion, everything was done at the last minute.
Well, that's how we do
And I'm
things.
sure it will show.
No, come on. Now you're being silly.
Eric is
Have
me.
some confidence, Eric.
And to my right is my confidence is Matt O.G.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Well, I've had a miserable week, but I'm here and I'm back. And
We want to get into that in just a moment here. To his right is our pal Giddles.
Hey, what's up, man?
It's been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah.
You're looking, you look like the happiest in the room right now.
Am I?
I don't know.
I don't know why.
We'll find out what you've been up to in just a moment. And, of course, it's kind of rare when he's here, but when he is here, everybody's really excited. There's people down the hallway that were freaking out that he was here. Mr. Brian Johnson, you know him from Comic Book Men and, of course, the ever-popular Tell 'em Steve Dave podcast.
Hello.
How are
Thank
you?
for having
Welcome
me
back.
Yes, last time I think was... Oh, no, we didn't even get to do Big AppleCon we were supposed to do right after Opie and Jim. And
Right.
then you got fucking shuffled.
Yeah.
That sucked. I was looking... I love AMC. AMC has been nothing but good to us.
And us, too, yeah.
But it's days like that I'm like, why don't you just put us up in a room the night before if you know we have to be in so early?
Yeah.
Because going from Jersey, you get stuck in traffic, and there's just
A lot of
no way.
tunnels and bridges.
Yeah, I took the train in today. This is the first time I took the train in. I was like, I'm tired of driving and being stuck and then just pulling into a random parking garage and being like, holy shit, like this is how much it costs?
Yeah. That's why I take the train now. It's just so much easier.
Yeah.
Right from Secaucus. It's makes my life pleasant.
Well, I drive in both ways, so I can't relate.
You also come in at like the crack of dawn.
Right.
Yeah, before there's like a million people on
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
And by the time you're out of here, most of the people are
But parking's
sort of
still
gone.
expensive.
Yes.
No one cares about my parking.
No
costs.
one cares.
But it is good to see Brian. Comic Book Man, did it start this past Sunday, or is it coming this Sunday?
It started this past Sunday.
All right, so it was on midnight after the premiere of the new season of new half season of Walking Dead, and then Talking Dead, and then you guys came on, right?
I'm not sure if it...
Or is there another
I think it's
rerun and then
Walking
you?
Dead, Talking Dead, Walking Dead, then us.
Okay.
Yeah. And people,
that makes sense.
People are constantly like, you got to get them to change your time slot. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, our last show, we pulled in more than 1 million listeners. 1 million watchers. Stan was on the show. That probably had something to do with it. So who would want to move to we tried it.
Right.
We tried a couple years ago. We went to Thursday at 9 or 10 or something, and it was slashed by 2/3.
Pulling the Conan, as I say.
Yeah. It was
Comfy in the 12 o'clock slot, shouldn't have moved up.
we didn't want to really look at the ratings, and then when we did, we were like, holy shit. And then within 2 weeks, AMC was like, get back where you belong. and we're happy there because really, how many people are going to watch it at midnight? Not that many probably, but they DVR it.
Sure.
You know, when people are like, move your time slot, I'm like, set your fucking DVR.
Yeah, really.
Who doesn't do that these days?
No
Or watch
offense,
it-
I don't watch it live. I can't watch it live because of the time it's on. I'm watching it the next day on DVR. And as we told everybody, you have up to 3 days so that the ratings count.
Even if I'm watching something on DVR, or even if I plan on watching something live, like Arrow, I'm going to watch Arrow, I still watch it on DVR. I wait 15 minutes,
So you
make
can
some
skip the
food,
commercials.
so I can skip the commercials.
Yeah.
So who doesn't watch it on DVR?
I couldn't agree more. Or on demand. We're one of those shows that fast forward isn't disabled.
Right.
Because we're not going to test people's patience.
But it's great to have you, and so that show's back on the air now. What's coming up for this season?
This season, I got to tell you, I'm really not sure because I don't watch the show. I don't even on DVR.
Yeah.
I don't like to watch myself because then I always like second guess things and I'm like, oh, I should have said this instead of this. But I know
I should have stood up. Why am I sitting down?
Yeah, or why am I slumped so my gut looks even bigger? But I know this week Q comes in. Brian Quinn of Impractical Jokers comes in, and we talk about a claymation movie that we are making on Kickstarter. And it's in the style of old Rankin Bass. Like a couple of years ago, we did Christmas stories, and because we have an annual Christmas show that's the one show that we sell yearly. Everything else is free. So Walt was like, we should do a comic book about these shows. About these stories. And then he said, no, you know what we should do? We should make a claymation movie like Rankin Bass. And it's a pretty big endeavor.
Sure.
But we went on
Very
Kickstarter.
time-consuming.
Yes. We're a year late. We have literally the most patient listeners I think ever. Nobody complains. Nobody seems to really mind because I think they know that the reason it's late is not because we're sitting around. It's because we want everything to be just right. You know?
Right. There's trust.
Yeah. They really are trustworthy because we try to not do things that it's just like give us your money type shit.
Right.
You know,
It's animation. It takes 8 hours to do 2 seconds sometimes.
Yeah, and the stuff the guy did truly looks amazing. Like it looks amazing. So
Is it really like sculpting claymation, or is it computer generated claymation?
nope, old school claymation.
That shot looks great. There's a fingerprint. God damn it!
No, the fingerprints are best. It adds character.
Yeah. And this guy is like wildly obsessive to the point where like a year ago I wanted to strangle him, and Walt and Quinn are like, just no, don't, like I'm firing off anger, like to the point where I couldn't deal with him anymore. Like Walt, the more rational one, had to take over because I'm like, dude, come on, come on. But
That's awesome.
the stuff I've seen, it looks pretty good, and that's going to be on the show this coming Sunday.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, there's a trailer, like we cut a trailer, and Quinn comes in, and we do auditions for people's voices, stuff like that.
Very
Sounds
nice.
really cool.
Yeah, man. Are you going to make that available? I know it's obviously available through Kickstarter, but you're going to make it available outside of Kickstarter if you didn't back it? I didn't back it, but I want to see it.
Yeah, we're going to pop it up on iTunes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, the whole Walt's a real stickler for like the old school. Like the only reason this is going out on DVD initially is because of him. He's like, people want that. People want that. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you're half a century old. Like you want that. Like what people want is like the immediate gratification of like boom, downloading, boom, watching it inside of 5 minutes.
Right.
Not waiting 4 to 6 weeks for it to be delivered. That world doesn't exist anymore. You know, I mean, if we were K-Tel, maybe, you know, like back in the day, not anymore though.
All right.
Well, I can't wait to see that. And then, of course, tell them Steve Dave is still doing very, very well.
Yeah, we started naming every show after Quinn now because the guy who does all our sound, Declan Quinn, he lives in Ireland. He said, he was like, anytime Quinn's name is in the title, there's a slight bump in listeners. So this year I started naming every show has Brian Quinn's name.
Well, when we upload tonight's show, Ryan Reynolds will be in the title.
Nice.
And they're like, he's not part of this show at all.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hashtag Ryan Reynolds.
Go to iTunes and subscribe to Tell 'em Steve Dave. Check out everything that they've got going. Great to see you, man. Last time you were here, we had a lot of fun. It wasn't just for our show. You were here for Opie and Jim. Going to
Big Apple
Con,
yeah,
right?
We said that, yeah.
And then we didn't hear from Brian for a while, and I was like, I thought I did something. And I'm like, wait, did we say something wrong? And then I'm like, well, no, it couldn't have been. Did Opie and Jim say something? So I went back and listened to that. I'm like, no, okay, they didn't say anything. It's like, all right, I'll hear from him when I hear from him. And then Brian resurfaced a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, I'd like to come by. Yes, of course, I'll send a car for you.
There was, I was telling you guys before the mics went hot. Is that the term I use here?
That's a term.
I, like, right around October, I stopped answering emails, and it got to the point where it built up so much that I'm like, I get, like, anxiety, and I'm like, I don't want to go back and, like, and see who I'm not answering, And like Eric's one of the few people that I would have answered, but like when you see like 960 emails, I'm just like, oh shit, you know. Yeah. So finally, I was like, all right, let me just go through them. Popped an Adderall.
It's just easier to hit that top check mark and hit delete all forever.
I was just going to ask it.
What's that? You know, this is one of those things. I was wondering on the way in. Do you guys have haters? Like, are there haters of the Erik Nagel show?
Fortunately, no, not for this show, but maybe the main show that I work on.
Like Opie and Jim, I know they can be very polarizing. I've seen stuff about them, like me, polarizing. Like people are like, you got to look at Reddit, and I'm like, nah, I don't got to look at Reddit.
It's best to stay off that. Even if you're a fan of something, it's probably best to stay off of that, because I'll go to Doctor Who once in a while when the new season was on. I'm like, all right, something didn't make sense, so I'm going to go see what it is. And then somebody's like, could you explain? Oh, there's the thing I didn't know what it was about. And then all of a sudden it's like, fuck you, you're not a real fan. I've been with it since the 60s, or it's just, I can't deal with you people.
People are so possessive about shit.
They are. It's weird. Because it's not anything it's crossing a weird line between fandom and ownership. Like, they feel that I have a vested stake in this program, or a vested stake in this character or movie or something like that. And you can be a fan of it, but when they take it to a level that you're like, where is this coming from?
I think old school nerds and geeks, and I'm right around the threshold, I think. There's this weird sort of like, but I got beat up and had to sit at the awkward table in school because of this shit, and now everybody likes it. You can't like it.
I paid my dues.
Yeah, I paid my dues. How are you? You're a jock. Go play football. I'm gonna go watch Doctor Who.
It's like nerd hipsters. Like, I was getting beaten up for it was cool.
That's the thing, though. People really do like the whole geek culture before it was appropriated by the cool people. Now those geeks are like, all right, so now we're cool, and people are like, no, you're still not cool.
Yeah,
you just like stuff before us, but we don't care. We're now going to shit on like whatever we don't like, and like the minutia. Like you go on those IMDb boards, and there are people that will literally say like, your opinion is wrong. And it's like, how is that possible?
No.
It's supposed to be an open forum, a place of a group discussion, sharing ideas and thoughts, and it's like, I think this is going to happen in the next episode. You're so fucking wrong. You don't know anything about this show.
Message boards, social media, it really is the real life Mos Eisley Cantina. Like, that's just what it is.
Who shot first?
Yeah, who shot first, and I don't like you either, and that's it.
That's it?
It's just people bitching and complaining.
You go on IMDb and you're like, where's the safe space here? Like, where's my IMDb safe space where people aren't going to fucking attack
Safe space is your living room off the computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
It's just looking at the cast list, and that's it.
Yeah. Can I just see comments on this movie where don't insult me?
No, you cannot.
Not at all.
Let's catch up a little bit about what's been going on with us since we've been off for a few weeks here. We never even explained the rest of the people that's on the show today, so we should definitely do that.
Oh, right.
From The Walking Dead, which also premiered this past Sunday. If you haven't seen it, you missed out on something really cool. You got to watch that. Michael Cudlitz will be here. He plays Abraham, and I'm going to get her last name wrong.
Denai Guerrera. You got to roll your R's.
No, you do it for me.
Guerrera.
And she plays who?
Michonne.
There you go. So she's going to be on the show. And then Stefan Kapicic.
You got to roll your C's.
Kapicic. He is Colossus in the Deadpool movie.
Okay.
Nice.
I got a chance to talk to him. Couldn't have been nicer.
Very cool. Are we going to talk Deadpool tonight?
Of course we're going to talk Deadpool, but we got to talk about us first. It's our show. It's got to be about us, and then we'll make it about everybody else.
Fair enough.
So with that, and of course, like we said, Brian Johnson is going to be here. You're here for the whole show?
I'll stay as long as you want.
All right.
Excellent.
So we have all that still to come, plus a bunch of stuff to give away. I've got copies of the Steve Jobs movie to give away. We have some signed Funko figures from Walking Dead and Deadpool, and we still have the micro figures from everybody on Comic Book Men that you guys signed for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saved a couple, so we're going to try to give those away tonight to who Brian deems fit. Right, so if any of the Comic Book Men fans or any of the ants out there want to call in and try to win one of those things, it'll be at Brian's discretion.
All right, fair enough.
So, do you want to start? Let's start with Matt first, because Matt's been having a bit of a rough week.
Yeah.
And Giddles goes, we need to talk about this as soon as Matt gets here. He's like, I've been following his misery. It's amazing. amazing.
It's not amazing, but it is misery. My basement decided, my sump pump died, is where it all started.
Not your sump pump.
Yeah, not my sump pump. And my basement completely flooded, a good 1.5 inches of water or so. So that's where it started.
Well, your basement for your house isn't like most people's basement. There's nothing really down there. It's not a finished basement.
Well, I wouldn't say it's not finished.
It's not finished. So it's not like there was furniture and carpeting and having to rip down sheetrock and walls and electrical wiring and things like that.
Or a functioning sump pump.
Right. Or a functioning sump pump.
No, that's getting ripped out.
But you have a couple of things down there, so minimal.
Well, I have a lot of storage down there. Luckily, most of it was in Tupperware. I did throw out probably 3 or 4 giant garbage bags full of stuff that got ruined. But,
no toys, right?
No, those are all in Tupperware.
Okay. It's like his kids' baby clothes. Yeah, those had to go.
Some of that stuff had to go. So I was Tuesday night. I was up until 2:00 in the morning pumping out my basement, which was fun.
How do you do that? Like, if your sump pump is malfunctioning, like, what's the next step?
So, luckily, Home Depot...
bust a window and siphon a hose?
No, luckily, Home Depot is open 24 hours, and I went to Home Depot, and I bought an automatic pump that I could just sit on the floor of the basement and run a hose out the window. And it just goes and goes and goes. But so while that's going on, then I was, cleaning out the pit and throwing away stuff. But then the next night, because there was so much groundwater, it just kept on filling up. So every hour and a half, 2 hours, I was getting up to go in the basement to repump it out.
Was it like melting snow or rain? What was the cause of it?
It was melting snow, and I think that rainstorm on Tuesday was just so bad by us. There was just a lot of groundwater. And where I am, I just get a lot of groundwater anyway. And Tuesday, Wednesday, I slept 0. And then finally I ordered a sump pump. I'm getting ready to install it, and it's supposed to be delivered today. And I get a call from FedEx, and they're like, "Oh, we couldn't deliver your package today because your business was closed for a holiday." And I'm like,
"What holiday?"
Well, there is no holiday. It's a residential address and not a business address. So how is any of this possible? And FedEx is like,
goodbye. Hang up.
No. The woman goes, "Yeah, we didn't put it on the truck this morning." And I'm like, "Well, you're going to put it on the truck this afternoon,
they lied,
right?"
Like,
completely.
It wasn't like they got a shipment that they thought was yours and it really was for somebody else, that they got stuff mixed up. They completely flat out lied and then realized that they never even attempted delivery.
No, they didn't even attempt a delivery at all.
Assholes.
They're notorious for that too.
But I think I've heard that the pump has been delivered. So tomorrow I learn how to install a sump pump.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
My life is so empty. It doesn't even have to be something as important as a sump pump when you got water in your basement. Yeah. The smallest thing, if it's supposed to come and it doesn't on the day promised, it's like devastating.
Oh yeah, it's
pathetic.
I get really. I'm not gonna lie. I get really angry about it. And this especially, I paid like expedited shipping for it because, again, I want to get it installed.
Yeah.
I don't want to be up all night every night pumping my basement again. But yeah, man, even toys, I get toys to my house all the time because I have a problem. And if I know it's supposed to come on Wednesday and I get home Wednesday and it's not there, that really bums me out for the rest of the night. Yeah. And really, it's like, what the hell am I going to do with it? I'm going to take a photo of it, I'm going to post it online, and I'm going to put it on a shelf somewhere and be like, yeah, new Green Arrow toy for my collection.
Like something you could easily do the next day. It doesn't matter, but yeah.
Yeah, I had that happen once. I took a day off work and I was waiting at home because I needed this package that day. And I'm sitting there online like, oh, when's it going to be delivered? When's it going to be delivered? And then it said delivery attempt. And I was like, no, they did not just delivery attempt. So I call him up and I had to chase down the truck. And I was like, dude, why'd you say you attempted delivery? He's like, well, it's the Upper West Side and no one's usually home this time. So I just assumed no one was home. I was like, but you said you attempted to deliver. You didn't attempt it. It's like, tried. I was like, no,
that doesn't count.
I had to find him 5 blocks down. So stupid.
Would it have been easier, I know it would have been costly, especially everything you were going through, to have somebody come and do this for you?
So, all right. So the pump that I needed, or the pump that I wanted, because I wanted to buy a good quality pump, Home Depot does not stock. Neither does Lowe's. You have to special order it. And it takes a week and a half to get it at either of those stores. And again, I don't want to wait a week and a half. It's supposed to snow and rain next week. And it costs something like $600 to have a plumber come and install a sump pump. And it cost me $130 to buy the pump and the supplies, and the work is not that hard. And I have a friend who's a plumber that's going to walk me through it. So I'm not that worried.
Well, you could fix a flooded basement very easily if you have a special ring with a little stone cutter thing on it.
That's it.
God damn it! I was just gonna. It's a handshake and showing your belt buckle, wasn't it? I was just gonna make the stone cutters reference. God damn!
Put the pan down there, it just floats.
Yeah, and it's all just a quick turn of the wrench, and it's like, oh, it's done.
It's done. All right.
This is gonna cost you $200.
So no, the answer is no. It would not have been cheaper or easier to have someone come and do it. I saved several $100s by doing it myself.
By asking your friend to do it for you.
Yeah. No, he's not going to actually come. He's going to FaceTime me and walk me through the process.
Oh, that's even better.
That's modern technology.
Well, that's better than watching a YouTube video and figuring it out for yourself.
I did some of that too in preparation of the install.
YouTube University.
That's it.
The best.
You have a kid. Was he trying to go down there into the flood?
No, because we came home late. He was already in bed, and he doesn't go down there in general because, like most young kids, and because my basement isn't finished and fun and exciting,
It looks like a dungeon.
he's kind of terrified of the basement. He's kind of like, I don't want to go down there. Like the heater's down there, and that makes
There is
noise.
just a toilet in the middle of nowhere.
There is a toilet in the middle of
How
nowhere.
old is he?
He's going to be 5 in May.
What is? I had a basement very similar to that, except I lived in it.
Yeah.
Like that. Those were my sister and I. Those were our bedrooms were, but it was just maybe because it's like subterranean. You know, like there's something weird about that and scary.
There's
for
a
young
cold
kid.
feeling to it.
Yeah.
And I think like you have to go downstairs, and it's not very welcoming. And like I think like there are bugs, and even if there's not a lot of bugs, I think you think there's a perception to a basement that's unless it's
you
finished.
feel
and it's just
trapped.
not
Like, I'll never get out of this basement, or if I'm down here, whatever is also down here is going to end me.
I just picture myself walking down the stairs in my basement, and I'm going to see Josh standing in the corner, like babbling to himself.
And then all of a sudden there's a whack and Matt goes sideways to the floor.
and that's it, and it's over.
And then your sump pump is magically missing again.
Tell us where you are, Josh. What did you do with the sump pump?
Where's the map? Pump. I have a question though. What is Home Depot like at 2 a.m? Is it just people like
I'm amazed it's
frantically
open
looking
that late.
Is like people just frantically looking for
No.
shit that just broke in their house?
Home Depot at 2 a.m. is an amazing experience.
Is it?
Yes, because the only people that are there, legit, are the employees and contractors that are there to pick up supplies for their jobs
See,
the
I would have
next
thought
day.
stoners.
No. They're
I could
Screws, man.
cook.
They're at Walmart.
I can make a bong out of this.
They're at Walmart at 2 a.m.
Yes.
No, it's mostly contractors, so it's great because no one at Home Depot can help you find shit. But walk up to the first contractor in the plumbing aisle and be like, look, I know you don't work here, but... And he's like, no problem. And it helps you out just like that.
Gives you a card too.
That's it. Here, call me if you need something. Yeah. It's actually perfect. Honestly, like that time of night is actually perfect.
Some people want to talk to you about your situation,
Sure.
Matt. Would you take some calls?
Absolutely.
Let's go to Wayne in Indiana. Wayne, how are you, sir?
Okay, how are you?
Good.
Hey, I had the same problem, except my basement was finished, and we had to cut out all the drywall and replace the carpet and everything. But I just want to tell you, you should spend the $500 to buy a battery backup one, so if the power goes out, you don't have the same problem happen over again.
So this actually, I've heard that, and I actually do have a backup generator, so if it was just a power issue, it would not have been an issue. This was that the pump actually
motor just-
died.
Yeah,
Right.
burnt out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to mine.
Yeah,
So,
it died and leaked oil or something, I think. That's what someone
Right,
said. Yeah.
and well, they just wear out, and you just get it. They don't give you any warning or anything; they just die.
It's not like you have an estimate on a roof. You're like, all right, I got a brand new roof. I can get about 10 years out of this roof when I know I got to replace it.
Right, but the battery backup ones, they have a secondary pump that will come on if the first one fails.
Oh.
It's set up just a little bit higher in the hole that the pump is in.
Okay,
And
all right.
I mean, I didn't like spending it either, but I actually have 2 different basements, so I had to buy 2 of them. But it's real easy to install. I'm not very good at that stuff anyway, so you wouldn't have a problem doing it. It's about $500 off Amazon.
All right, cool. Thank you. I'll look into it.
Okay, good luck.
Take care, Wayne. Thank you so much.
Say plumbing tips on It's Erik Nagel.
Oh, I want a braggart though. I have 2 basements. 2.
I spent $1,000 on some pumps. What are you spending?
One for the family, one for the bodies. Vinny in New York, hang on one second. We're going to get right to you. Basement stories. I just kind of remember this about being scared about the basement. The first house I lived in on Long Island in Brentwood had it was mostly finished, but there was at least a quarter of the basement where you'd go through these doors, and that's where the washer and dryer were, an extra refrigerator there for storage. But then over to the left in the front of the house was a huge, massive oil tank. Black.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't bury it in the lawn or something like that. This was in the house. So when that thing would start knocking around and getting ready to heat up, and boom, 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 it sounds like somebody's, punching the doors.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this until we started talking about it, but it used to terrify me.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you'd happen to be in there, and if it was sort of warmed up, so it's not kicking and getting everything going, it just goes with a huge flame noise, and you're like, I just saw Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time. I'm going to die right here.
There's a horror author, Dan Simmons. He's written a shitload of books. One is called Summer of Night. And I know this is very basement specific, but there is a scene in that book where a kid is trying to get across the basement to the same thing, like it was flooded and he's trying to get over somewhere to get something. I think it's equivalent to the Lincoln Tunnel scene in The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand.
Wow, okay.
It was so chilling. If anyone's I don't have anything to gain from it, but if you're into horror, Dan Simmons' Summer of Night, it's a pretty frightening, weird book, man. It's really well done.
I'll check it out.
If you're into scary basements, you can do worse.
Well, I mean, we're going to go to Vinny right now, but if you know, who knew there was a whole thing of scary basement stories?
Well, I remember when I was a kid, and this is going to sound really stupid, but because of Are You Afraid of the Dark, there was an episode where the kid went down in the basement and there was a thing that lived in the wall and it ate the children. And it ate the kids, and that's how it survived.
Lewis, what?
And that terrified me as a kid.
That was one of my favorite
It's still one of my favorite episodes, but it scared the shit out of me.
He got a new bike at the end.
He did.
Didn't he
give his
for being a good boy.
Lost
He
his
fed
family.
he fed his family to the monster, and they just gave him a bike. It's great.
Wow, that's teaching
sounds
kids
worth
some
it.
dark
Yeah, it
stuff.
does. It beats selling that shit your school gets you to peddle to your neighbors.
Oh, the cookies?
And then you have the magazine if you sell this much, you can buy the new bike or the video game system. Just feed your parents to the monsters and you get a Schwinn.
Hells yeah.
Let's go to Vinny in New York. Vinny, how are you?
What's going on, guys? Not the greatest story of all time, but I was going somewhere. My mom asked me to go down to the basement. This is when I was younger. I was maybe about 9 or 10. And she asked me to grab something from the basement. And I went down, got it. But on my way up, I was running full speed. I got to the top of the stairs, turned around, and whatever was in my imagination, I was like, "You'll never catch me!" I turned around, and my mom was standing there, and I screamed like a little bitch. It scared the shit out of me. It was just, and she looked at me like, "Who are you talking to right now?" And it just freaked me out.
Anyone who'll listen.
And she's been disappointed in you ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty much set up my entire life. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
I mean, the basement in general has to be the scariest room in the house.
Oh yeah.
It's the basement or the attic. I mean, I think those are the two.
Right.
Those are the two spots.
Unless you have a touchy uncle, then any room is not that scary, right?
Where's Uncle Ernie's room? Don't go there.
Yeah, just stay
clear.
Just stay out of the house.
Trust me, you'd rather be in the basement.
Well, Vinny, for being a brave little boy, I'm going to give you a copy of the new Steve Jobs movie on Blu-ray and digital.
No, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to put you on hold, and Lewis will get your information there.
I used to have that kind of response to being in when we would go on field trips in high school and you'd get to the high school early at 5, 6 in the morning and no one else is there and you're walking down the empty hallways. I would definitely be like, all right, maybe I should just start running now. There's something about that weird just quietness that's kind of freaky.
Your inner psyche, your brain really can fuck with you.
Oh, yeah.
Generally speaking, I'm not afraid of horror movies. I don't hate them. I don't love them. They don't really spook me too much. Zombie shit and all that stuff.
Is it the slasher movies, or are you talking the psychological terror kind of movies?
No, like blood and zombie type movies, slasher movies. They don't really spook me. I don't love them, but yeah. But so I remember a year and a half ago when I started trying to be healthy and exercise and stuff, I was using an app on my phone called Zombies Run. And it's a story that plays out while you run.
There's a lot of people.
I know, right? We gotta find a way to make people exercise, man.
It works. There's a lot of people in New York City that do it on the west side, along the West Side Highway, that big running path and bike path, that are using that Zombie Run thing.
Yeah, so
I've never even heard of this.
It's
and they pre-program program your route too for depending on
yeah.
what city you're in.
So it's kind of almost like it's kind of like playing a game or an MMO. So as it starts out, it drops you into the story. It's this like zombie apocalypse that you're stuck in, and you like find your way to a colony, and they need runners, and your entire purpose is to like run back and forth to like medical buildings and get supplies and stuff. And so, you know, you run, and as you're running, it's playing out this story of, you know, and you hear like the zombie sounds and like they're coming after you and all that shit, and it tells you to sprint once close to you, and it's just trying to get you to move and not be a sloth. But I remember one morning, instead of going to the gym, I was like, oh, it's kind of a nice morning. It was like dusk, so it was a little bit dark out, and I was like, I'm going to run around my neighborhood. So I'm running, and it's kind of dark out, and I'm listening to zombies run, and I was like 5, maybe 10 minutes into it, and I was like, nah, I can't do this. This is way too spooky to actually be outside and listen to. And it's like completely irrational, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go back to the gym where the lights are on, and there's like, you know, there's a girl behind the counter smiling.
There's an old man saying you're genetically boring.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
Do you want to tell Brian that story real quick?
I already like the punchline.
So I was at the gym one morning working out, and it was, you know, there was some dude like sitting. He was sitting on the bench across from me.
Jerking off?
No, not jerking off, but staring creepy. And he kept on like getting up and walking away and coming back and like just walking around. He was generally just kind of creepy looking, but whatever. I was trying to ignore him. But I'm on one of the benches and I'm facing him and I'm like looking at him, straight on eye contact now. And he just gets up off of his bench and he walks up to me and he just goes, you know, you're genetically boring. That was the entire story. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Thanks, Dad.
How is that? Like, is it an insult? Is it not an insult? I'm not sure what that meant. And then he went and he was talking to the treadmill, so I'm sure it was pretty just crazy.
I'm picturing him being like a K-Pax type thing, like he's just an alien in like a human suit, and he's just like, not you.
But he was elderly too. Like he didn't belong.
Was that
in
Kevin
the gym
Spacey?
to begin with.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, he didn't belong there to begin with. I don't think he probably just.
So he wasn't
in.
genetically exciting.
No, he was not genetically exciting. If anything,
But
he
God
was,
damn it, neither were you, and he was going to tell you.
Yeah, that's right. I am genetically boring forever
that is
and ever.
a weird criticism.
That's right. That's what threw me. It was like, it's just so weird and odd to be called genetically boring.
It's like, do you even get upset by that, or is it just like, what is it?
I didn't know how to feel.
I was just going to say that, because when this happened, Matt tells me about it, and he goes, I didn't know how to feel about this.
So is it the thinking man's like, dude, you're white bread?
Yeah, maybe, I guess.
Like, you do nothing for me.
Like, would it have been better if I had an extra finger? Is that what I was missing? Or I don't know. A third eye? That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know this is a question that's been asked 1,000 times, but what is it with the public's their never ending love of zombie shit? Like, I know, like, Walking Dead really spurred it on, but Jesus Christ.
You would think that it would have passed, or like, before the zombie stuff was the big vampire boom, you know, especially for girls, you know, the novels and Twilight and True Blood and all this stuff, and then the zombie stuff started coming around again. Zombie comes and goes in flows, in stages, sorry. But this hit really big and has been nonstop. There's been no decrease in oversaturation, I'll say, of zombie stuff.
I think the difference between, because when it first started, I was like, this is the next vampire. It's just zombie chic, right?
Right.
And everybody likes it and it's cool.
Zombie chic.
But it'll go away after a while. That's what I thought. I think the difference between
Zombie Zoolander. That would have saved Zoolander too.
That's it. I think the difference between the vampire thing and the zombie thing is exactly what you said, was the vampire thing was really kind of for girls, it seemed like, with Twilight, and I don't know about True Blood so much,
Sparkly
but probably sparkly
it
vampires.
Wasn't Blade.
Right?
Yeah,
right. It wasn't Blade. If Blade was
Ryan Reynolds was in Blade.
If Blade was,
He'll be on the show.
He'll be here later.
Quinn too. But if like Blade was like a really good TV series as opposed to that shitty one that they tried to do, like if it was really, really good and it lasted long, vampires might have stuck around longer. I think because zombies have a bigger audience grasp, it could last longer. I have no doubt in my mind it's going to burn out at some point in time. It's just lasting a little bit longer.
I think the people like the zombie stuff because I think they kind of relate to it in a way of like, how would I survive during this? Like, how would I be able to do it? And I think that it's kind of this post-apocalyptic wasteland of like not having the responsibilities other than taking care of yourself and like just survival.
So,
and I think that's what draws people in, to me at least.
One of the things for zombies that I always liked, and the reason why I really liked Walking Dead the books. I don't watch the show anymore, but one of the reasons I really liked the books
too
was
good for it.
Nah, I don't like it.
Shouldn't say that on the day we have guests.
I'm sorry. You guys love it, and that's
I love
awesome.
it, yeah.
I'm allowed to my opinion is not wrong.
Yes, it is.
No, but the thing I really like about The Walking Dead was I never really felt like it was a zombie book.
Yeah.
I felt like it was like a human story, and zombies were just part of the landscape of it, and provided an element to the story, but it was really about humans interacting and what they would do when they needed resources and turning on each other and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I read an article recently about the arrogance of most people who just assume they would survive whatever apocalypse this is.
Yeah.
When really statistically, you're very likely to die in the initial incident or immediately afterwards because, like, I mean, how many survival skills do you really have?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't have many.
See, my thought on that is I just want to make it to the roof so I can see it coming. I just don't want to be surprised where, like in the TV shows and the movies and all this stuff, I went into the bedroom and there was one there that nobody knew, and then I got bitten and it was done. I want to be on the roof just to see the end coming.
Do you remember there was a show, I want to say it was on Discovery. It was called
Dave in Connecticut, hang on, we're going to get right to you.
It was called The Colony. Do you remember that? It was a reality show.
Oh, this isn't the
Reality
colony
type
that
show?
you hate with the girl from The Walking Dead?
No, actually, I've gotten over my hate for Lori. I still like the show, but The Colony.
I haven't.
But no, this was a reality show. I think it was on Discovery, and it was pretty much about they took a group of people from different walks of life and they put them in like a post-apocalyptic like type setting, like. They had to figure out how to survive, and they gave them certain things to do, but most of the stuff they had to figure out. Now it's a reality show, so obviously they got help at night and shit like that. But it was interesting to watch it play out. How
especially when they had Nitro shooting the tennis ball cannon at them. And
no.
Oh, wrong show. Okay.
Wrong show. Wrong show. I don't know. I like the human element of it.
One of the issues I've had with The Walking Dead since the beginning is the ease in which people get headshots.
Yeah.
A lot of accuracy.
Everybody's a skilled marksman.
I just recently got a gun license. I'm sure like a bunch of Democrats just tuned out. But I went to the range. I mean, it's like from me to that wall, and I'm aiming for the head. And I'm shooting him in the balls. I'm like, how do you do this? Like, no way. Even if I had a gun, I would have to be right next to him in order to shoot him in the head. But you got like that little kid and the kid still wearing the hat to me is like, dude, come on, enough with the hat already. You're like 18 now. Yeah. Chandler. But they're just like running across the field like pow, pow, just pop, like zombies are dropping all over the place. Like
under their arm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, heads are exploding like water balloons when you're just swinging a broom handle.
But I think it's kind of funny, though, because you go online, you see people on message boards like, oh, this is totally what I would do. And I remember I being like one of those people like, yeah, this is how I'd survive the zombie apocalypse. And then one afternoon, I had to help my dad install a fence. Yeah. And after like 3 hours of doing that, I was like, you know what? I have no energy left to keep swinging. Yeah. And if there was an relentless horde of zombies coming at me, I would be dead because I would be tired from this fence.
Here's the thought process you should have at that point. It's just easier for me to run and impale myself on the fence than try to kill the rest of them.
No, in all seriousness, I think I might just be like, you know what, I'm going to become a fucking zombie.
Yeah.
Why not go the other way? I'm not going to survive on my own. Chances are my family's dead. Bite me. Let me have some fun. Let me tear at some kids and old people and stuff.
Wait,
Chase
have a
some
positive
girls in the
outlook,
woods.
Matt. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just going to guess my family's dead because I ran off days ago. I'll just go be a zombie.
Well, I'm assuming my kid can't run too fast, and, maybe I can't carry him. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about running from zombies. Let's go to Dave in Connecticut. Dave.
First off, this is the first time I've ever been able to catch the show. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love it so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. This is fantastic.
Now here comes the insult.
No, not at all. The Zombie Run app is what started to get me running. And when you were talking about the whole point is you hear the story, and as you're running, you collect batteries and clothes. And then when you have to run from the zombies, it actually uses the GPS to make sure that you're running fast. So, which is great until you're sprinting, you don't watch where you're going, and you land in your neighbor's front yard after sailing for about 20 feet because I was running so fast. I felt like the biggest douchebag ever.
But you had a lot of batteries.
I had a ton of underwear, let me tell you.
You don't need underwear. Just go for it at that point.
Oh, exactly. And it's actually, sorry, just a second thing, since you guys are talking about it, my wife and I talk about where's the best place to go in a zombie apocalypse. My thought is to the attic. You have the trap door, you've got the ladder, you can pull it up, you can put stuff up there. I was wondering what you guys would think about the attic as a safe place to hide from zombies.
Were you not listening earlier?
Yeah,
the attic is creepy, sir.
Yeah, it's already scary.
Rooms in the house.
If it's not your bedroom, everything is terrifying in your own home.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long you've lived there. Or you could go for the school of thought of how I used to play Sims, where you trap yourself in a room and put something against the door and just wait to die.
No, you get a yacht and you go out into the water. Zombies can't swim, right?
No, they can drown pretty good though.
I don't know. And this is where Reddit comes into play. By the way,
what kind of zombies are we talking about? Romero zombies,
you're talking
Walking
about,
Dead zombies,
28 days later, rage zombies.
World War Z, where they can run real fast and stockpile
Let's not
themselves to
talk
build a
about World
wall.
War Z.
We have to talk about World War Z. And so then everyone's like, well, which universe are you thinking? It's like, all right, I'm already done with this conversation. I just wanted to do a generic, fun little conversation, and you're breaking this down like it's, the God particle.
One thing I forgot to tell you about the Zombie Run app too is when you're done with your run, you get to go back to your little camp or whatever, and you get to build up buildings like an RTS game. Like you can upgrade your hospital, you can build a school, you can build a basketball court so that your people are happy while they're dying by
Can you crash the plane so that it goes on fire, and then when it's put out, you can put parks there to cut down on your pollution?
You might be able to. I didn't get that
and then
far.
put the cheat code in to have unlimited money to build your city?
I got too scared running outside, so I didn't get that far.
R.I.P. SimCity.
I have a full knee replacement of my left knee. I don't think I could get away from Romero zombies. That what's the other one? The Danny Boyle one?
Oh, the 28 days later.
28 days later? No fucking way. No way. They're like that. They're getting me.
Yeah. Way too fast.
Yeah.
Brian's going to stand there with his arms open like 2012, when the big tidal waves are coming, or the day after tomorrow?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's coming. I accept it. Here we go.
That's it.
Dave, I'm going to put you on hold and give you a copy of Steve Jobs on Blu-ray and digital.
Oh, gee, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm hooked on the show now. Thanks, man.
All right,
awesome.
tell
Thank
two
you.
friends, sir. Let's go to Paul in Massachusetts. Paul?
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to bring up an observation. But first of all, I agree with. I'm sorry, I just started listening to the show, so I don't know the names yet. But the guy that said the allure to the zombie apocalypse shows are it's kind of like fantasizing about an escape from reality, and I have to agree with that because 9 out of 10 days I'd rather be dealing with the shit on The Walking Dead than the shit I deal with every day anyway.
Exactly.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I drive a truck. I work at night. I drive a trailer truck.
Okay.
So do you just visualize just running as many down with your trailer truck as possible?
Oh, God, yeah.
Like Cruising USA?
I'm Daryl driving the fuel truck.
Yeah.
I'm going to save this town.
As a truck driver, do you get white line fever? Have you ever suffered from that?
Yeah, you get kind of weird hypnotic things that happen sometime, and you daze out, you forget where you are, and you got to kind of snap out of it. But,
that's when you bust out the crank.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So,
Trucker's choice.
The code for it is 5-hour energy, sir.
Well, I don't know. Those I don't know. I'd rather 5 cups of coffee. But anyway, one thing that I had always noticed, and maybe I suffer from a little necrophilia. You never see any zombie titties. They're realistic. Their clothes are falling off. They've been, they're falling apart. But you never see any zombie titties. And to me, that would top off the reality of the show.
The flip side is you also don't see any zombie wieners, so that's right. Cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to take the good with the bad. But
zombie wang.
Well, they are rather well clothed, though. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. They should go the next step and show it.
AMC should go for it. Like the people are demanding zombie titty.
Yeah.
Full frontal zombies.
Paul, here's my advice. Go to change.org and start a petition for we need zombie tits and wieners on The Walking Dead.
Hit up Robert Kirkman and AMC on Twitter.
And then people are like, well, he said tits. Why did he say wieners? He could have just said dick.
Yeah. Well, you got to think. I don't know. I mean, how bad could it be? The wieners would probably be falling off.
That's probably true.
Wow. It'd be great if there's just one zombie just doing the windmill in the back of a scene. Like, what does he do? He's figuring it out.
Meat spin.
All right, guys, I'm out of here.
Paul, do you want a copy of Steve Jobs on Blu-ray and digital?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll get your information.
There is a zombie movie called The Battery about like two guys who get stuck in a car when the battery dies, like kind of in the woods. And there is like a scene where a zombie is trying to get into the car while the other dude left the car to get supplies, and her boob is pressed up against the glass, and he just starts masturbating because he hasn't seen a boob in years. Ooh. And then his friend comes back and shoots the girl in the head while he's masturbating and just laughs at his friend because his dick's out.
Oh, zombies. They're so silly.
And then credits.
Yeah.
Well, what was that? I can't remember the midlight. So it's a zombie Midnight Express then, where
yeah, that's exactly it. That was pretty good though.
Where did we start? My basement flooded?
Well, this is what you have to look forward to, but some pump doesn't come.
Yeah, Matt's basement is like the pool scene in Poltergeist.
Oh my god.
Water's everywhere, hands and skulls are just showing up, and somewhere his kids screaming.
Oh, good times,
This house was buried on a lake burial ground.
Did you see the real life version of that like 2 days ago in the news, that Colombian prison?
No.
Oh yeah, they found all the corpses.
Oh yes, they found 100 bodies in the sewer system buried below. I mean, the sewer system that's below the prison, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, It's not only prisoners, it's visitors, it's journalists. It's
Jesus.
Yeah, like people I guess they're trying to silence, or like, why you would put a visitor down there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just throw him in the hole.
Asshole wouldn't stop tapping on the bars.
Like CNN is the worst clickbait fucking news site. I can't stand it because it's like
news.
This person dies, and it's like somebody from a famous show. But I'm like, if it was somebody like a main player, they would put their name in there. So I know it's not a main player. But that was one like hundreds of bodies found, or 100 bodies found under the prison. So I click it, but knowing I'm like, no way did this happen in America. Yeah. No way, and sure enough, Colombia.
Damn Colombians.
Yeah. Lousy Colombian shakes fist vigorously. So that's it for your basement.
Yes.
We'll still take your zombie calls. I see them coming in here. So as they're screening everything, well, let's just go to one here. What's line 4 here? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Scott from D.C.
Hi, Todd.
As always. I was just going to say, Matt, I just had to go through the sub pump thing. You're a little smarter than I was because I wasn't running the Tupperware, the Rubbermaid bin, trying to find out a ton of shit. But one thing I would say is YouTube a how-to video on it, and that's actually how I installed mine. And I was going on the same line. I was going to be charged $500, but I got online and did it for probably under $150 after I bought everything.
Yeah, I think I'm at about $130 or $140 in parts. So tomorrow I'm gonna go for the gold.
Good luck with that. That's
Thank
all,
you.
guys. You guys keep rocking. Great show.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it. So I'm guessing because of all of this, you didn't take advantage of the 99-cent sale on Marvel.
No.
Okay.
No,
Which, by the way, I did.
Yes.
And I got a little trigger happy.
Yeah.
Because I hit select all and wound up paying $52. I bought all the Deadpool that they had for 99 cents.
Did you get like one to unwrap every week of the year?
No, it's all on the on my iPad on the app
right?
there. Downloaded pretty fast, and I got to download New Mutants because that's the first issue that Deadpool showed up on.
Yeah, was it New Mutants?
I think it was New Mutants.
X-Force. I don't remember.
idea.
It's been a while.
You want to talk a little Deadpool before we'll take a break a little bit, and then we got a whole bunch of interviews and stuff to do. Did you see Deadpool, Brian?
I did not. I don't really go to the movies anymore. I just wait until they come on TV.
I just torrent them.
Yeah, like the other day I rented Black Mass. I mean, I don't know. I have the patience. I'm much more into TV now, like episodic TV. Like Hulu just did 11, 20, 263 or whatever.
Yeah, the Kennedy it's a time travel Kennedy assassination
Stephen
movie,
King
right?
book, yeah.
Yeah.
How fucking irritating is it that they didn't put all 8 episodes up? I didn't realize it until after I watched the first one. And I'm like, no, this, like I can deal without, like, iPads and that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm from the 70s, so I don't really give a fuck about all the electronic stuff. But, like, I've really become accustomed to the binge watching.
Yep.
Like, Jessica Jones in one day. Like, literally, I'll sit there that long. And that was a bummer, man. I was like, really? I gotta wait 8 weeks, Better Call Saul. I'm like, no. Like, no, I want to know what happens next. It's...
Well,
you get really spoiled.
I know. We've always talked about the fact that, some people apparently don't have jobs or don't work, and the Friday morning that it comes out by, 8 p.m., I gotta wait 9 months for season 2, and like the rest of the world has not watched whatever the show was yet. And then you get the people who have the time to sit and binge watch everything, and then some people space it out a little bit because they don't want to. They savor it.
I'm a spacer,
right? So that they don't blow through everything and then have nothing to look forward to. A lot of people nowadays will say, "I rather have the entire season put out so I can watch it and get everything I want."
Watch it at your own pace is really what it comes down to.
If they did that all the time, you would have nothing. It takes a long time to put all this stuff out.
The production schedule would be insane.
Right.
Oh my God, it'd be nonstop.
And you'd not have anything else to look forward to because you're like, the next 2 weeks might be a big, it almost could become like a new kind of holiday theme thing where for these 2 weeks, all these shows are going to be released, every day for the next 2 weeks, and you go through everything, and then you got to wait almost a year before new stuff comes around. So it's like you got to figure out the balance of, do you want to binge watch everything, or can you go back to the ways of waiting for weekly episodic television?
I don't know. I think with certain shows, I think with paid subscription services, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, those things, I think with those services, they either need to release them all at once or they need to release them like in blocks. Like if it's 8 episodes, at least release like the first 4. Maybe wait like a week or 2 and then release the next 4.
Half seasons.
Yeah, that way at least if you're a binger, you could binge a good couple of episodes and then kind of kill it out.
Well, it depends on the genre too. Like, you have like something like Jessica Jones that I watched that I didn't think I would like.
Right.
And I really liked it a lot. Like, I just want to rip through them. But like Modern Family, which is not necessarily like based on continuity or like cliffhangers, I don't care about watching it once a week,
Right.
Or Baskets. Baskets is my new favorite.
Oh, I gotta watch that. That's great.
So
What's
good.
Baskets?
That's the Zach Galifianakis show that Louis C.K. produced.
Oh, okay.
He's like the clown or whatever. Yeah.
Louis Anderson plays his mom.
Yeah.
The most. I know that like women in Hollywood are like, seriously, like that could have been like a woman's role. No woman can watch Louis Anderson's performance and say like, well, it should have been me. He is so good.
Because sometimes you just need the awkwardness of that scenario to work.
It's genius.
This doesn't relate to our show, but it does relate to Baskets. Roland and Paul from Opie and Jimmy. Paul has been all on board for Baskets. Couldn't wait for this show to start and has been loving every minute. He's purposely been tweeting out to Louis Anderson about Baskets and how much he loves him in Baskets, and Louis started following him and like favoriting and retweeting stuff that Paul was writing. So Roland started getting jealous and doing the same thing, and Louis Anderson won't acknowledge Roland. It's been driving Roland crazy.
That's so funny. Oh, poor Roland.
But Baskets on FX, you should definitely check it out.
I was just going to ask, it's on FX? Okay.
Yeah, we got to talk about on demand being weird lately because if you miss the first half of a season, they don't have all the episodes.
Yeah, that's
on certain
really
channels.
obnoxious.
But FX Now, if you have the app or just go online, you just sign in with your cable login ID and you get everything. It's all right there. It's an amazing time that we live in.
Back to Deadpool.
Yeah.
No?
Yes, we can go to Deadpool. But one more. Dutch in Pittsburgh wants to talk about zombies real quick. Dutch?
Hey, how's it going?
Is this Dutch from Dutch and Roy's?
No.
No. Okay, go ahead.
So, y'all were talking about zombie porn.
Brian was, sir.
No, I was talking about a horror movie that had a zombie boob.
Yeah.
But yes, go on with your zombie porn.
This isn't the Walking Dead XXX parody.
Oh, they did one of those?
Yeah, they did one of those.
How bad is the makeup on it? Is it just rubber masks?
Yeah, and gray paint.
You calling from a prison?
That's a great take.
Yeah.
I was like, you've got 30 seconds.
He's about to get buried under that prison.
All right, thank you very much, Dutch. We appreciate it. Deadpool.
Yeah.
So, last time we were on, we were all excited about the movie coming out, and then was trying to get the screener set up for all of us to go see it. Things kept changing, and then it was only we could go because for Opie's thing, because Ryan Reynolds and TJ Miller were coming on Opie and Jimmy, so that's the only way we could do it.
Sure.
So I went and saw it before the movie opened. Giddles, you went and saw it on opening weekend?
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it? Have you seen it?
Yes, I went and saw it. Actually, I ended up seeing opening night.
Okay, so half the studio's seen this and half hasn't. So how do we deal with this? Do we want to spoil it for them, or
spoilers don't have any effect on me? So there was actually a study.
Are you dead inside?
No.
Okay.
Are
you a zombie inside?
No, but there was a study that was done that said spoilers actually make the viewership more enjoyable.
Not if you know the end, I think. Like, I think it can hear certain spoilers, but...
I think certain things would upset me if I knew them in advance.
The thing is, I don't really know anything about the Deadpool world, so it's like you can say things I'm probably not going to remember.
Look, I didn't really plan on spoiling in any way. I was going to talk more in generalities and what I thought worked. And
go for it.
Yeah, not so much for us, really. Like, your listeners, like, maybe many of them haven't seen it yet, and people get real...
Yeah, they get
tight about that kind of shit.
Yeah, so I mean, if you haven't seen Deadpool, my intention is not to spoil it. All I will say is that, personally, I think it was exactly what it was supposed to be. I think it worked really well. I think Ryan Reynolds clearly, it was a passion project for him, and it showed.
Yeah, well, he said he's been pushing for like 11 years.
Yeah.
And then got Fox's attention with the test footage that they shot.
Right.
And for like 6 years ago, and they were like, yeah, we can't do anything with this, and it sat on a shelf.
And then he leaked.
And then he leaked it right after Comic-Con 2014.
Right.
And, because that's right around the time, that was right around the time when we started the show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then that footage came out. We did talk about it, and it was like, is this real? Like, everyone thought it was a spoof kind of thing.
And that was just the scene with him in the car and like the whole like
correct. The bridge scene, yeah. And it snowballed from there that so many people contacted 20th Century Fox that they said, all right, we have to do this. And they took a big gamble on an R-rated superhero movie, but it generated all the attention that they could have asked for and more, especially with the protest and the online petitions about make a PG-13 version of it.
I was like, what the fuck? People are so entitled these days.
Yeah.
Like, make it to my specs.
My kid can't see this movie, so you need to spend millions of dollars to re-edit the movie that you made so my kid can see this movie.
Sure he can. He can see it when he's old enough or when it comes out on Blu-ray and
let
you
your
decide
asshole
he
kid
can
watch
see
it when it's on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He'll get over it.
So a lot of buzz. The marketing and the promotion was great.
The marketing was genius behind the movie.
And then
honestly,
the movie comes out.
Right.
And everyone's like, well, this weekend you have Deadpool, you have Zoolander 2, which I was amazed anyone cared about Zoolander.
I didn't even know that came out.
Even though that was 15 years ago from the first one, but apparently it had a cult-like status where people love this thing. So that came around, and I'm like, oh, if this is a cult movie, maybe this could, be a problem for Deadpool. And then there was also the Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, 3
came out there. So I'm like, well, that might offset some stuff.
That came out a couple weeks ago.
I thought there was an animated one that opened that weekend.
It wasn't Kung Fu Panda. It might have been something else, but it wasn't Kung Fu Panda.
There was a bunch of things that bombed this weekend that weren't Deadpool.
Okay. So, but at least the Kung Fu Panda was out then, we'll just say. Yes. Okay. So that's the alternative. If you can't take your kids to Deadpool, you go see that. Right. So that could, pull money away from Deadpool and whatever. Movie comes out just based on the midnight showing. Friday morning, we come in, I'm looking at the news feeds and stuff like that, and they said, record-breaking midnight showing, first thing, it had $13 million by Friday morning. Yeah. Before the day even started, broke $13 million, and they said, this is an amazing start, and then as the weekend's going on, you're just watching Hollywood Reporter and IGN and all these other places. Deadpool breaking this record. Deadpool breaking... Like, they couldn't have dreamt that this would happen.
Yeah, and it didn't have a huge budget either. I think the budget on it was $68 million, which in modern movie budgets is very low.
Especially for superhero
movies.
Yeah,
superhero, that's way low.
And the one thing I will say is that there's a couple of times during the movie where I was like, yeah, it is at a $68 million budget. Like, there were a couple of sequences where you could kind of feel it, but not to the point where I felt it detracted from what was going on. And in a weird way, it almost worked, if that makes sense. Like, it kind of worked with the overall kind of feel of the movie. The funny part for me now is watching all the people that are like, Deadpool was not the first R-rated comic book movie.
No, never said it was.
What about The Crow? What about Blade? And
Punisher? I
think the difference between... Yeah, okay, even Punisher. I'm even going to lump Punisher into this group. I think
Thomas Jane Punisher, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Any of the Punishers.
Not the Dolph Lundgren.
Not the Dolph Lundgren. I think the difference is that Crow, Blade, even Punisher, in a weird way, that's not like capes and spandex type superhero movie. Like, Crow was like, goth guy, and Blade was like,
it's great the
black guy in a trench coat with a sword. Like, it didn't feel like a capes and spandex. It didn't feel like a traditional superhero. Deadpool is, at least as far as his costume goes and how he looks, he's a traditional superhero in that regard. And I think that's a little bit different. You have to look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think people's expectations too. Like people's expectations of a superhero movie are completely different than The Crow or Blade. I mean, how great was the first Blade?
Yeah. And how many people didn't know that both of those movies, by the way, were based on comic books? Like there are a ton of people that didn't know that Crow was a comic book or that Blade was a Marvel character for how many years.
Yeah. Like, they didn't promote in the early 90s and whatnot. They didn't promote the comic book tie-in or the origin for the story because they felt that if you say it's a comic book movie, most people aren't going to go see it. So they wanted to bring Crow out so that people were like, oh, that's a new, refreshing idea. I want to go check it out. It was a different time. Don't mention that it was. If people know about it, that's fine, but don't promote that it used to be a comic book.
Yeah.
So, now you can't. It's the other way around. You got to say this was a comic book, or else people are like, "What is this shit?"
Yeah. So in that regard, I think Deadpool still was unique, and it's exactly what it was supposed to be. Like if you go into that movie, if you honestly go to see that movie, knowing even a little bit about Deadpool, or just having paid attention to the marketing campaign, and you walk out of there and are criticizing the movie, then
you didn't pay attention?
Yeah, no, like, yeah.
Have you seen a lot of criticisms?
I have, and it's funny. It's like, oh, well, this isn't the Deadpool that I like. You know, it's all the same kind of shit. And it's like, oh, he was campy here, but he broke the fourth wall too many times. And I'm like,
what about legit criticism that didn't make it about themselves? Like, was there something like, yeah, that wasn't too accurate?
Or like weak plot
No,
point
not
stuff?
really. I mean, there's a bunch of hoity-toity reviews, like the New York Times review, I think, or was it one of those
New York
reviews?
Post.
Wait, was it the Post? That one was terrible.
Did you see?
It was like
I
negative
posted
10
that
stars or whatever. It was horrible.
Is that Kyle Smith? Or
Yes,
something?
That guy hates everything.
that douchebag.
He
So-
doesn't really like anything.
No,
If he gives it a negative review, I'm like, oh, this has got to be great.
Yeah, that morning I saw it in the paper, and before the show started, Oak goes, he's like, Deadpool's is getting trashed. I said, what?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, it's not getting good reviews. I said, where are you reading? Because yes, that night, like the night before, it was at 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that was the critics.
Yeah.
Not because the people hadn't watched the movie yet. And he said, no, it's getting trashed. And then he shows me the post. I'm looking at it, I'm reading the article, I'm like, and Justin Stengel's there, and I was like, I don't think this guy saw the movie for what it was supposed to. I think he went into it thinking this is going to be awful, looked for everything to state that it was awful, and then walked out. It's like, see, I was right.
Yeah.
But knew nothing, like all his complaints, it's like, could have been easily, before putting the piece out, could have been easily explained had he just done a couple of maybe Google searches.
Right.
It didn't matter if he didn't know the comic book story or whatever, but he was like, what, he put it out there. He got so many things wrong, and then I went and looked at other reviews that he did, and he does it to every movie so he can seem, I'm better than you. Like I'm a little not the too hip for the room thing, but
pseudo-intellectual asshole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
These movies are beneath me.
Yeah, the only things this guy likes is period pieces. Like that's it. Like, he'll never like.
He was on his period when he watched.
Perhaps.
So, do you think that critics are becoming increasingly irrelevant, like the newspaper critics?
I think 100%. I think that's why Rotten Tomatoes is so popular.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I don't even think people bother to read the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. They look at the little number, and that's it.
Yeah.
And even that, to a certain degree, is, I think even that's going to become irrelevant at some point. And that's no knock at Rotten Tomatoes, but I think just more and more people are just so convinced that, their opinion is the one that matters, that they're willing to make their own opinion. And that's great. The problem is when they choose to share it and besmirch everybody that doesn't agree with them.
And as we were saying earlier, like, hating is in fashion. So you can get 1 million clicks to an article by being like, this is why Deadpool sucks. And you get everyone gone there, but like, no, it doesn't suck. And then it's a clickbait. Yeah. You're like, oh, you fucker.
67 reasons why Deadpool failed.
Yeah, or that one list I was going to was like 89 reasons that like The Force Awakens was horrible. And you're like, no, none of these are true. Did you even watch the movie? Like, what the fuck?
The Deadpool thing, I don't really read comics. Like that's one of the true things about comic book men. But I recently saw that Brian Posehn is writing Deadpool.
Right.
Which
There's a new
and I believe he's written it in the past as well.
What is the series called?
As soon as I saw he was writing it, because I love that guy, I was like, I'm going to read this now. I'm going to go pick it up.
Yeah, it's funny when certain people write something outside of who you expect normally. Like it helps draw in people. Well, Kevin had that effect with Daredevil, right, and Green Arrow. When he wrote that stuff, I mean, people who had never read Green Arrow before were like, well, Kevin Smith's writing it, so I got to check it out. And then a lot of people became fans of the book and kind of stuck with it after that. So that's always nice to see too. But I mean, look, Deadpool is exactly what it's exactly what it was meant to be. Like,
people tell me that they're like, you would really like his character. He's a sarcastic dick that's constantly saying shit to people, and
yeah, he's a complete and utter asshole. He's 100% selfish.
Right. So now I'm starting to wonder why they're telling me.
Well, yeah, and I'm not saying that,
Brian. This is you as a comic book hero,
but yeah,
based on you.
Thanks, Mom.
You know, and he's kind of funny. He breaks the fourth wall when it's appropriate. He pokes fun at himself when it's appropriate.
Right, and he. I know you said some people say, no, he's making too many sarcastic comments and breaking the fourth wall. But what they did do right was they paced the sarcasm depending where they are in the movie. When he's just Wade, he's never breaking the fourth wall. He's in the movie. He's part of the story. He's not self-aware as Wade. When he's Deadpool, he's self-aware of everything. He's constantly pulling himself out of the movie, making the comments. So depending where he is in the story, they tone him to what's appropriate. So it's not like Ryan Reynolds makes some comments, but he's not going like a million miles an hour like Deadpool does.
But in a world where people who are complaining about the fourth wall being broken, in a world where the fourth wall being broken is a regular trope on TV,
it's like one of the biggest defining points of House of Cards,
right? And a lot. I mean, look, any of those in a weird way, like The Office, right?
Yeah,
they're talking to a guy making a documentary, but they're breaking the fourth wall. They're really talking to you, the audience, in all of those sequences, and they're kind of aware of what's going on around. I mean, that's like a really common thing right now. So why are you picking on this other than I think that you feel like it's cool to pick on this?
They've got to say something, because if they're just like, hey, it was really cool, they're not differentiating themselves from like everyone else. Like you say, it's in vogue to hate, or, you know.
Yeah.
And Deadpool is a little different than from The Office and things like that, because again, only Deadpool is the one taking himself out of the movie and aware. Everything else going on doesn't acknowledge that they're in a movie, doesn't look at the camera. Everything is just life as it's happening. Only Deadpool does it. So it limits when it's supposed to and hypes it up when it needs to.
But it's weird, because I've read Deadpool for a while, and not so much anymore, but I read it back in the day a bit, and even in the movie, like, I know he's breaking the fourth wall, and I know that's the what they're going for. But part of me has always been like, this character is really fucking crazy and is a bit off kilter. And is he really breaking the fourth wall, or is he really talking to himself, and we're seeing the conversation that he's having with himself?
Just assuming he's talking to us.
Right, just assuming he's talking to us. And that's something I've always kind of thought about the character, and I think the way that they work it, because he never really expects a response. He doesn't ask a question and then expect some sort of response back from you. And even when he does, it's always kind of goofy. But it's like, is he really talking to me, or is he just that nuts?
It's like, you're genetically boring.
Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Third row, Matt.
That would creep me out.
Yeah. Dave in Philly, you saw Deadpool.
Yeah, guys, and I think the big thing for me was, and kind of to lean on that whole fourth wall part, it reminded me of like Zach Morris, Saved by the Bell a bit, where I'm just kind of like, I understand it's part of the comic book and all, but it took me out of the movie still. In the comic books it worked, but in the movie for some reason I was just thinking Zach Morris and the Max. I don't know, it was weird.
Time out. Matt, how do you feel about this?
I will politely disagree with his opinion.
Time in. Sir, we don't agree with you at all.
You're entitled to your opinion. I don't know.
No, it's funny. It's funny how we choose to accept it sometimes and not other times. And that's fine. Like, whatever, that's your opinion and whatever your reasoning is behind it. But to me, it's like, if you kind of already accept this in other ways, what is so different about this now? Like, and the fact that it pulls you out of the movie, and this is just my opinion, it's supposed to kind of pull you out of the movie. Like, the sequences stop when he addresses you. Like they freeze the action, and then he addresses you in a weird way. And it's supposed to pull you out of the sequence for him to tell you something or make a joke or explain something in detail. And I think as long as they use it cleverly and they use it in a way that makes sense and it's meaningful, then it's okay. But again, that's my opinion. We're not on IMDb, so.
Quick question.
Sure.
Because he's self-aware, because he's breaking the fourth wall, does that make it impossible for him to do like other collaborative X-Men movies?
No, because they could easily have him break the fourth wall,
right,
amongst the other X-Men, and I think it would really be funny. And in this movie, Colossus appears, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead appears, and they're in the movie, and they're in scenes with him where he breaks the wall at points, I'm pretty sure. So
I think if Deadpool does do the X-Men crossover, I think it will repair a lot of things from the X-Men story, because Colossus in the Deadpool movie is the original Colossus from the comic books. Colossus that was in the X-Men movies was a short little guy who was liquid like T-2000 and was not Colossus. So at this point, if they bring him over with the current Colossus, he can break the fourth wall, make a joke that, hey, what happened here? And then once he's done with that, goes back into the movie where the characters in the movie are not aware, and it fixes everything.
And he made fun of himself and the last iteration of Deadpool and Green Lantern throughout the movie.
Right.
Like, one thing I'll ask you, don't make the suit green or animated. Like that's clearly a joke at Green Lantern.
He had the picture of himself falling out of his wallet in the opening sequence as Green Lantern.
And he's got himself as the shitty version of Deadpool, the action figure
on his shelf.
Movie.
Yeah,
like he's playing with it at one point in time. Like so. I don't know. I thought it worked. I thought they did it cleverly enough to make it work.
So how does this tie into where will Deadpool fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He will not fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Disney. Deadpool is X-Men, which is Fox. So he will fit into the X-Men Fox
that's
universe.
How much I know. I'm so confused.
Look, Fox was really preying on this because Fantastic Four just tanked so bad.
Yeah.
And X-Men Apocalypse is coming out this year, and if that tanks, they were going to be really fucked because they could lose their Marvel license, and it could all wind up back at Disney, which everybody wanted to begin with. But now, because of Deadpool, and they're going to amp up Wolverine for the third Wolverine movie is going to be R, and if this starts a trend, it might be better for the fans of these characters and of the comics where, look, you're getting best of both worlds. You're getting everything you want with the Disney Marvel for as far as the franchise and the characters, whatever. But if you want more of the adult stuff, Fox can do it.
See, but here's the thing. I don't want Fox to become Warner Brothers. I don't want them to make every movie R because they think it should be R. Just like Warner Brothers doesn't have to make every superhero movie dark because they think it should be dark.
We'll get to DC later. Yeah.
Deadpool worked to be R. I don't necessarily think a Wolverine movie has to be R, to be quite honest with you. I think it works. I thought the last Wolverine movie, Origins? Was it Origins? I don't know.
Is that the one where he's in Japan?
The one he's in Japan. I thought that was actually really good. And it was fine that wasn't R.
Greg in Port Jervis, how are you?
I'm super. How are you?
Good.
So I got an idea here that I had zero knowledge when I went in to see Deadpool. No background at all. I simply had the choice of Kung Fu Panda there and Deadpool, and I went to it. And, through the whole thing, I can do this without spoilers, but it struck me a lot like when I watched Pulp Fiction. It had intense humor that was almost unexpected at times. A really different kind of movie cinematic style where you just saw things you're not used to seeing. There was the side that Tarantino put in that Pulp Fiction that had the real violence and gore part. And then throughout the whole deal, you had a plot that you just kept on wanting to watch it. So, I thought it was a fantastic film. And, I'm what the Hollywood people probably want is that, I'm not a cult person. I have no idea about this character, but I loved every part of it.
That's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, you're right. You're probably like Hollywood's wet dream viewer because they can, you're new money to them.
We're going to send this phone call right to them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Greg,
I agree with what you're saying. It's a very different film in a lot of ways.
Very cool. Awesome, man.
I'm going to be very anticlimactic, and Greg, I'm going to put you on hold and give you a copy of Steve Jobs on Blu-ray and digital.
Solid.
All right, hang on.
You mentioned Teenage Negasonic Warhead earlier, and I read an article that they said back when Monster Magnet made that album, it brought attention to Deadpool from non-comic fans, just like metal fans who had no idea who the fuck Deadpool was.
Right.
And it actually worked quite well for Deadpool. Like the circulation increased and all that.
Look at the man who doesn't read comics.
Yeah. Well, it's, and
Windorf's my boy. So.
And it's funny because the character was such a throwaway character in the comic books too. She died like almost right away after being introduced.
Really?
Yeah, they revamped her for the movie, but she's great in the movie.
Here's a spoiler for the movie, and it's one of the great, sarcasm points of the whole story. When he goes to Xavier's mansion, and he goes, this is a pretty big house. How come I'm only seeing you two? Did we not have enough money for other X-Men?
Yeah.
He's constantly shitting on Fox, and in one point, he's saying lines where he's kind of petitioning to go over to the Disney side of Marvel. I'm like, they let him do everything on this.
Yeah, but I think in order for this to really work, they had to let him get away with as much as they were just slightly uncomfortable with.
Right.
Because I think if fans had gone into that movie and got even a whiff of, he had to pull back on that scene, didn't he? That would have caused chaos amongst fans of the movie. They had to really let him go as far as they were comfortable with going, and then just a little bit further.
If there's anything I've learned from going to Comic-Cons is that Deadpool fans are crazy. Like there's so many of them, and they're all in different outfits. My friend dressed up as like
gaggles.
a Tetris piece he's like, I'm Tetris Deadpool. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Well, because there was this run in the Deadpool comic where like there was like a Deadpool dog, a Deadpool gorilla.
Yeah, and
it was like just crazy.
That. Like you see so many different costumes like that. People, I'm Deadpool G.I. Joe. I'm like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah.
Deadpool Walking Dead.
That's because Deadpool is aware of all the concept is he's aware of all of those things. He's aware of our world.
There is a trailer online. I'll have to tweet it out. There's The Walking Deadpool.
The Walking Deadpool.
They mix both of the movie trailers together.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good. Let's go to Mike in Chicago.
Hey, Eric, how you guys doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I was fortunate enough to catch the movie Saturday midday, and I have to say I really liked it for the simple fact that it's one of those movies that doesn't pander to the audience. It kind of lets everybody in on the joke, but doesn't spoil anything. And there was one part where you guys mentioned they didn't really break the fourth wall when he was in character and out. And there was one transition point. He made a nice little nudge that I thought was kind of funny. He said right before he undergoes his transformation treatment, he says, okay, before we start, just no green suits and no CGI, which I thought was hilarious, referring to the Green Lantern aspect of things.
Close, but yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was a great quip, and it was a great jab at himself and at his past. So.
If you saw the movie, for those who did, I think it's on the Nerdist website. They did a video breaking down a lot of the Easter eggs that are in the movie, and you'll be surprised what you missed. As far as like,
I
or
have
something.
To see it again.
Yeah, I'm going to see it again too, because in the movie, the screening that we had for the press, apparently there was a second add-on for after the credits or something like that wasn't in the screening that we had. So I want to go back and see that too.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we won't give that away. Stay for the credits, people.
Yeah, definitely. If you jump too early, you're going to miss a lot. There's just a lot of little stuff at the end that they threw little teasers of future stuff to come too. It moves really fast. And the one thing that I thought, too, was it treats the audience with a little more respect than, say, something like a Scorsese in Casino, where Scorsese felt he had to highlight the guys, walking and talking with their mouths covered, where this, it just lets it flow naturally, and it really, really moves. It's a fast-paced film, and it was a lot of fun. I really liked it.
Great. Go out and see it again. Enjoy it. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it. One other. Oh, sorry.
And they've greenlit the sequel already, by the way.
Yeah, they were saying that before the weekend was even over, that they were going to greenlight it.
Were there mobsters in Deadpool? I mean, isn't that why in Casino they're talking like that? Because, is the FBI watching the Deadpool?
Not that I know. Not that I recall.
I mean, that's why they do that in Casino, because they don't want anyone to know what they're saying.
There was one other scene, too, involving the X-Men, where he's like, well, you got to talk to Xavier. And he goes, what's the younger Charles Xavier's name? McElroy?
No, he says Fassbender or he says, he makes a joke to the two different Xaviers.
Yeah, but he says,
it's Michael Fassbender plays not Michael Fassbender. McAvoy, James McAvoy.
They said, you got to come see Xavier, and he goes, McAvoy or Stewart? I can't get the timeline straight. Yeah.
Well, do you agree with that criticism that James Gunn said that the studio is going to see the success and just completely not understand why it was successful and ruin it?
I am so happy I actually read that article, because I almost fell into the trap of just reading the headline and jumping to a conclusion. Because I read the headline, and the first thing that I thought was, oh no, James Gunn thinks he is too cool for the fucking room.
Yep.
And he doesn't get it. And how can he not get it after just doing Guardians? And I read it, and I'm like, oh no, he totally gets it. Okay.
Yeah, he gets it.
Yeah, so pretty much what he says is, look, this movie was really well done, and it treats the audience with respect. The problem is that Hollywood is going to see just the highlights of what was successful out of this, and you're going to see a billion ripoffs in the next 5 years.
Yeah, where they're just throwing in raunchy jokes and adult humor.
Exactly. And
trying
every
to make
movie's
money.
going to become rated R and all this stuff because Deadpool worked. And I absolutely do agree because we've seen it with so many other things.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you can even argue that as soon as Guardians of the Galaxy was a success, everybody started to clamor for that type. Suicide Squad is clearly Warner Brothers.
Oh my God, yeah.
Answer to Guardians of the Galaxy.
You watch that trailer though, like, I mean, I'm familiar with Suicide Squad. I was like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea who these people
I
are.
will say though, whoever edited that trailer deserves whatever award editors get because I think the trailer is beautiful. I don't know how the movie's going to be, but the trailer is fantastic.
They take a lot of-
if it didn't say Suicide Squad, I would have never known.
Yeah.
I was
Did
like,
they
who
take
are
a lot of
these people?
liberties with it? With the property or no? I mean, based on a trailer, does it seem fairly accurate?
Yes and no. It Suicide Squad is one you could probably take a lot of liberties with and not run into trouble.
Okay.
I also watched it with Walt and Kevin, and they were jizzing all over each other. They're like, oh, Doc Croc, oh, this guy. Oh,
And that was before the trailer.
Killer Croc or whatever. Yeah, that had nothing to do with that. but they knew, like, each person. I mean, there's some obscure characters in there,
Yeah,
right?
there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Katana. Not a lot of people know who. Everybody knows Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Right.
But like Killer Croc is another one that's kind of popular. But I would argue that almost
What's Will Smith
Captain
doing in there?
Boomerang. A lot of people don't know Captain Boomerang. It's a fucking weird character to throw. in
You
there,
made
but
that up.
I didn't. I swear.
Well, a lot of the DC stuff is reactionary to Marvel, but we'll talk about that
Sure.
maybe later in the show.
Or
here.
another day.
Yeah, we take one more call and then we're late for a break. Luke in Louisiana?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you? So I just saw the movie a couple days ago, and that scene on the bridge where he's about to kick that guy in the face, and he says, Wade Wilson from Regina, Saskatchewan, right? Like he's setting it up like it's a sports commentary. I'm originally from that town, and right now they have a petition going on Facebook to erect a statue of Deadpool in that city.
That would be awesome.
That is...
Yeah, well, I worked on Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds like years ago, and
Which is another great movie. It's very funny.
They shot that movie next door to my parents' house. Like the craft services and everything was in our garage, and I just moved out at the time, so I would go steal food from the craft services and take it back to my house. But yeah, that whole the city that rhymes with fun, like it's vagina, you know, it's like an old joke in that town. So right now, yeah, I think they got a few thousand signatures on Facebook. So I'm just trying to get the word out so that that city actually has a ridiculous, vulgar comic book character erected as a statue in that town.
Do you know what your town's going to turn into? Did you ever see the movie Fanboys? Where the goal is to go to that place in, was it Iowa that Kirk's from?
Yeah.
That town in Iowa that had the big statue of Captain Kirk. That was like their mission to get there. That's what your city's turning into now.
Whatever, who gives a shit?
All right, Luke, I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to get your information. I'm going to give you a copy of Steve Jobs on Blu-ray and digital, all right?
Okay, I guess.
No, if you don't want it, fine. I'll hang up. Goodbye. No, I'm kidding. We'll put you on hold. All right, we are very late for a break. Brian Johnson is joining us from Comic Book Men, which is on midnight on AMC. Is it midnight, right?
Midnight on AMC.
Right. Midnight on AMC, and of course the ever-popular podcast, Tell 'em Steve Dave. Subscribe to that and check out everything that's going on with there. We got to take a break. We have Michael Cudlitz coming up next from The Walking Dead, which also premiered last week on AMC. So much to get to, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very excited to welcome to the show. Anytime something with The Walking Dead comes around, we all jump at the chance to talk to anybody and everybody who's willing to talk to us about this show. And this is no different. We're excited to have Michael Cudlitz on the show. You know him as Abraham. And Season 6, Part 2, or B?
6B?
6B? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, both. I've been hearing both, so I kind of like Part 2.
This is so great. You're doing the press tour. The season's done, right? Like as far as your shooting,
we shoot. The show shoots from May, first week in May, till the third week in November. So they get us home before Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow. So you've known everything that's been going on for like 3 months now.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great because when we start talking about it again, it literally is all new to us.
Well, we're hoping that you fare well in this season.
Oh, I'm fine.
Because it starts off...
he says flippantly. So, yeah, right.
He's killed in the last 15 minutes.
Exactly.
First 15 seconds.
He lied to us. I hate when they do that.
Words. Yeah, my character.
It's shake at the sky.
Curse you!
Old man yells at cloud.
Exactly.
So the start to the season 6B... Very intense, sort of starting where 6A ended. But this is what I'm trying to find out. That opening sequence wasn't part of the last episode. It was like a bonus thing, like
it was like an after the credits scene,
right,
with Sasha, Daryl, and Abraham when they confront the saviors, or if they're calling them that in the show. But yes,
the bikers.
The bikers, yeah.
For now, you drive up with a tanker there, and they have the road blocked, and they said everything you own belongs to Negan.
Yep.
And that's where it stops.
Damn it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we know he exists. Even though Jeffrey Dean Morgan told us that he exists.
Yes, exactly.
Have you got a chance to work with Jeffrey yet?
Yeah, he's incredible.
Like you have scenes where you're interacting with him personally? Not just in a group setting?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. You had to think about that.
No, I had to think about whether I could answer it or not.
Yeah, he was great. He was so excited when we got a chance to talk to him. It was funny because he came in right for The Good Wife.
Yeah.
And right as he was coming in for The Good Wife, it just got blurted out that he was cast as Negan. So, of course, everybody's like, screw The Good Wife. Let's talk about Negan.
Yeah.
And we did. And he said that there were some negotiations going on between the production company that owns and runs The Walking Dead and with AMC as far as the language goes, the language barrier. They were trying to expand the barrier to fit what would be more Negan from the comic book and his dialogue to bring into the TV show. Is there a possibility of that happening?
Maybe in some ways. That's honestly, that's like, it just becomes legal stuff at a certain point. And it becomes, I think that there's, the FCC stuff is very different. It's not. I don't even know.
I don't think basic cable is, because it's not a pay channel, but it's basic cable. I don't think they're ruled.
Yeah, I think they
and especially you're on at night. After that safe
but it's
harbor
sort of
hour.
I think it's like self-monitoring at a certain point where you sort of say these are the parameters we're going to follow, and we're going to have this certain audience, and then the audience over years knows what to expect from your brand. And then if you start dropping F-bombs, it's going to hurt other properties you own. So it affects the whole network. I mean, you can't just for this one thing, we're going to do it. It's like you have to do it and become whatever that makes you become and own it.
Is it more self-policing, or is it more that, look, the sponsors may not go for this and we'll lose the money that way?
I think it's both. I think what you just said go hand in hand. Self-policing so you can keep the sponsors.
Gotcha.
I think that it's the price of doing business, and there are certain things that are still considered taboo.
Right.
Like I was on, the Southland before this on NBC, a network. And at the end of an episode, the pilot episode, I look to the rookie and I say, you gonna be a pussy? And I can say that,
right?
And that's like completely acceptable. But I cannot look at the specific genitalia that word refers to.
Yeah,
because
that's not even in the scene. Why is he just saying that?
Exactly, he's random. Look at that pussy.
Yeah, that's not in the script there.
Yeah, so it's interesting how it is, and how it's things that are perceived a certain way and things that are just legally not allowed to happen.
Right.
I think that one of the challenges to the Negan character is going to be the language, because he literally, if you follow the comic, it's every other word. Yeah, it really is.
It's a noun, it's
every
a verb,
word.
It's an adjective.
Yes, and it's the F-bomb, repeatedly. But I think it can be done. I think it can be done effectively. I think we saw it in NYPD Blue.
Right.
Sipowicz. You would swear, thinking back on NYPD Blue, that he swore up a storm.
No,
you would swear.
But they did say asshole, and they did say shit for the first time.
Yeah, but you still think your mind, the way he dealt with people, you'd be like, that dude was just like, you wouldn't want to.
I want to curse like Sipowicz.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, you've had some experience with this because Southland was an NBC property at first, but then they dropped it and it was picked up by TNT.
Yes.
So it got to expand a bit while being on TNT.
Well, yeah, it got focused and shrunk and expanded at the same time. They cut half our cast. So we lost half our cast.
Unfortunately, that happens. Yeah.
A tremendously talented cast. And then, but they were able to focus more specifically on the stories of these individual characters because the cast got smaller. We weren't given any more verbal freedom so far as what we were able to say and what we weren't able to say, but the way we were able to execute it changed because there were certain things that NBC wouldn't allow us to do. If we were bleeping out the F-bomb, it had to sort of be on the back of the head, so it was implied that it was said, whereas if it was bleeped out on TNT, you could actually see the person see the mouth,
or at least they didn't take movies and have to broadcast it on the networks, and they put the wrong words in there just to cover up.
Yeah, when you meet a stranger in the Alps.
Yeah,
it's like, what? You stupid mother pickle.
Yeah,
what?
It's not even
what does that mean?
There was a Die Hard one where he calls him Mother Falcon, and they're like, "There's no one in that movie named Falcon."
Yeah, and that's not even an insult.
Exactly. It's like I think sometimes people who have to edit those things find it so ridiculous that they're like, we're going to put the most ridiculous thing. We're not even going to pretend.
Here's a new movie.
We're going to let their mind go to exactly what it is.
Well, I was kind of convinced that the mother dick line, they threw in dick because they thought they took out fucker, like from Abraham says. I was just like, maybe he said fucker and they just threw in dick because it's a little softer.
No, we did something that I was,
just funny to read.
They flipped something around that you actually are allowed to say, but they just flipped it. I'll think of it in a second. And I just thought it was genius because your mind just slams on its brakes when you hear it. You're like, what the hell was that? And
that could be a t-shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like the mother dick.
No, son
line,
of a dick.
Son of a dick.
Because I could say son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, and you're so like, why would you not? But it's genius because it literally is a new curse word. It's like a new phrase. And
right.
I don't know. It's fun. He's just been such a blast to play. They've been so good to me with the dialogue and this, awesome character development. It's been a really fun gig.
Walking Dead is Sundays at 10 p.m. on AMC. Let's talk about Abraham as far as this new season here. He's pretty badass. My favorite was the grocery store scene. I think that's everybody's.
Yeah.
And the only thing that really made it awesome was that he didn't regret doing it. He just regretted that somebody saw him do it.
Yeah.
He's like, they shouldn't have seen that.
Yeah,
well,
his family
I'm going to go over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't see Daddy at work.
Very badass character. What are we in store for here with Abraham in the latter part of season 6?
Well, I think a lot more in the direction that it's been headed. You now have a sort of consolidated group now after this next episode. We see that everyone, as always, we'll see certain people rise up and certain people not be able to adapt.
Right.
And I think that obviously, if, however we get out of this mess that we're in with all the walkers in, if we're going to get out of it, is going to redefine what the group looks like, afterwards.
Right.
Tomorrow is definitely going to look different than today, and Abraham is going to be able to sort of take his position as one of the leaders because the group is going to need to be managed.
I was just going to ask that if there was going to be more of a leadership role, because your style and your mindset as far as leading anything is way different than Rick's.
Mm-hmm.
Rick is more of a protect your own in a defensive position, and you're more, all right, is everyone behind the wall? I'm going right to the party and throwing guns blazing straight right at them.
Yeah, but I think those two can work hand in hand. Because I don't think that necessarily Abraham wants to be the one deciding what the plan is. He's sort of like, y'all figure out what the plan is.
You just want to execute it.
And just give me the paper and I'll make that shit happen. And I think he's cool with that. Because he's a, an NCO. He's not a general. He's a sergeant who wants to take orders as long as they're good orders and just make it happen.
Well, that's how he ended up with the group because he was following Eugene's orders of the radio and the safety in DC.
Absolutely.
And he had that. He believed it. He was like, I have a mission. I have a purpose in life. My family left me. Like, I'm going to get this done. And then when he found out it wasn't real, you could see just the emotional, just loss from Abraham.
Well, he literally had the life sucked out of him.
Yeah, he literally had the life sucked out of him, and he's just been through such an emotional journey of losing his family and then having a mission and then losing that again, and now we see him in possibly a romantic maybe situation with Sasha in a way.
Crazy,
I don't know. There was some eyes being thrown around that last finale.
A little bit.
And he's got that nice new suit. So I don't know.
Who doesn't like a man in uniform?
Some hands under the table.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's just I'm just really interested to see where he's going to keep going on this emotional journey.
Yes.
I can tell you where he's going.
Well, yeah. Well, we know that.
Playing Abraham, is any of that character in you, or is that really, testing your acting chops and saying, all right, I got to be something that's completely not me?
I think we all, in any role that we do, there's a piece of us that is either that, or we imagine ourselves as that, but a small piece. And what is typically, larger in our personality is not the thing that we're playing. Sometimes you get something that's very, very close to you. John Cooper in Southland was someone who was actually very far from me, but there are elements of me. I think the compassionate part was how I was able to sort of get the audience to sort of fall in love with John, and get people, and sort of change hearts and minds about what people may or may not perceive what a gay male is in society, because it was like, people were denying. They were like just vehemently denying. There's like no way this character could be gay because, well, the truth of the matter is you don't think he could be gay because you have a perception of what this character is, and I've made you fall in love with him, and now you're pissed off.
He's not fruity enough. That's not
exactly.
gay to me.
Exactly. There's John Wayne. John Wayne was, it's like, okay, we get it.
He's drinking whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there are pieces of me in Abraham, but I am not. Sometimes I wish I was Abraham. I mean, Abraham, it's just like straight up, like he's going straight through it. There's no agenda. There's no subtext. There's no, well, if I do this, maybe this will happen. It's like, no, I'm going to go do that thing I want to do. And even if it means doing.
I'm going over here. I'm killing that.
Yes. Exactly.
He's like, why does he keep telling us?
But he doesn't, but that's the thing. He's not even he's just going to do it, know, and I admire that in him because there's no filter.
Like even that whole scene where he's having fun, just killing the zombies and laughing and just like bashing their heads, like
it's just bloodlust,
having fun. And everyone else is looking at me like, "What a lunatic!" And you're like, "I'm just blowing off some steam. I'm just, this is what I got to do. So like, might as well have fun."
Absolutely.
If that's how he has fun, let me ask you this: then I saw on your Twitter account not too long ago, you saw AC/DC in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they had the music budget for this, if they could do some kind of killing montage or traveling montage for Abraham, what music would you want playing while you're just like you just said, going there and, swinging the bat and axe, the gun, everything? What music would you want playing while you're just, having fun?
You know what? I'd have to sort of refer back to like Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
And go, and it had this really cool, swing between sort of classical music and, just awesome 70s rock. I think if something's juxtaposed, I think it's awesome. So I'm going to have to go firm with the soundtrack for Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Nice. That's gay enough. There you go.
That's a great answer.
I honestly did not expect that. I'm thinking, Metallica or Sabbath or something.
One by Metallica.
Going full on
Hell's Bells, maybe, something.
Yeah. No, it's just it's the juxtaposition of all that blood, and it's just, who doesn't like a little Donna Summer?
Yeah.
As you sit in front of us here, I'm noticing something that's very absent from this interview, your red hair.
Yeah.
How long does that take for them to dye that, to get it that boldly red for your mustache and your hair?
It takes about 30 minutes to put it in, and it stays in for 45 minutes, the color, and then they rinse it out. And then it takes about 2 weeks before it starts fading, and then we have to go in and do it again. It's brutal. We do what you should not do to anyone's hair.
Does it sting?
To my hair. It stings like a bitch.
It's the powder stuff, right? That they mix up and.
I don't know. It's gel. It's okay. You can feel it burning.
Yeah.
Everything it's not supposed to.
Where if it's on your skin starts lumping up because it's not supposed to touch it.
It's just it's bad. And every hair care professional, I'm sure, is going to tweet me all their suggestions about what to do. But
Garnier Fructis.
Yeah. What you need to do is put Sweet and Low in the mixture. And yes, it works. I get it. Okay.
Do you enjoy the red, or you can't wait to get that out?
It's all right. And, I'm enjoying the job so much that, I wear a lot of hats, I wear a lot of caps during this season. And then I get a few months, where I get to just be me again, and cut it off. And it does help. Look, you walk in a room and you have red hair like Carrot Top, and this is not like a joke, but people look. And then they look and then they see who you are, and we have such a huge fan base.
Can't wait for the one guy to try to test
It's crazy.
him. No, that redhead asshole over there. Someone steps up and is like, dude, you don't know who you just stepped
on. I am changing the lives of a lot of redheaded kids out there.
Abraham kicked the shit out of 4 guys at Burger King.
Yeah, it's like, all the jokes are hopefully a little more subtle, and they're not. Everybody's giving the redheads a little less crap lately.
Yeah, because finally somebody outside of Ron Howard and Carrot Top that they can look up to.
Kicking ass. So,
what is it like, working on set? Because your group that you're with right now is kind of separated from the main group that you came onto the show with. So it's like kind of like a newish group that you're with, like to viewers in a way, because you're usually with Rosita and Eugene. Like, what is it like working with different actors?
It's
like more closely like that.
That's one of the best things about the show. It's a very, 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 very talented group of people. It's a very deep bench, as you'd say.
Yeah.
And there's some people that you really haven't seen given a lot of screen time, as it were, yet that are about to step up their game in a great way. So I love that. I mean, I've been very, very fortunate over the years to work with a lot of amazingly talented people, and honestly, this group is up there. And as a group, to have this many people, it's fantastic. So we are separated. And the interesting thing, one of the interesting things I find that no one's really touched on, and I've done a bunch of press in the last couple of days. We're only 2 days further,
right?
Than,
where you left off.
Day one. No, than day one of season 6.
That's what I keep telling people.
We're only 2 days.
Wow,
it's like the worst day ever.
Yeah.
That's what I keep telling people from
just
season
really,
6.
really bad day.
I lost track of that.
Yeah, this is basically where we get the plan together.
Yeah,
we're gonna go do the thing at the quarry,
and
then the shit hits the fan. And we've had one night that we stayed away from the group that we didn't get back because we heard the horn, and they've had one night. We're 2 days later. That's all the time that has passed.
Yeah,
that is a shitty day.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's literally the worst day ever. It's such a horrible day.
Oh, but I have a feeling it's about to get a little bit better.
It's going to get a little better,
and then it's going to get worse.
It's going to get much worse.
We are running out of time here. Just want to switch gears off of The Walking Dead. Sundays, 10 p.m. on AMC. I want to talk to you about your voiceover work in Call of Duty and various editions of Call of Duty. There, you big first-person shooter game.
I'm not. To me, it is the.
It's difficult.
No, it's more than difficult. It's like
the kids verbally abusing you on the headset.
It just stresses me the fuck out.
That's why
I literally, people are like, oh yeah, I go home afterwards. Some like the guys on the show. Some of them are like, oh, I go home and I play Xbox or this. That I'm a fucking wreck. I mean, I'm like, shit, and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm like bleeding out of my every freaking hole in my body, and I'm like, I can't take it. So no, I don't. I'd rather do the voiceover stuff and not play the game. I appreciate the game, and I think they're actually, in this next series that's about to come out, I actually know the guys over at Activision, and I've seen some of the stuff.
Are you part of the new one?
I'm not part of the new one.
Okay. Because for those who don't know, in the Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1 and Call of Duty, you were Sergeant Glenn Hawkins.
Yeah,
and then in the Modern Warfare, you were Corporal Griffin.
Yeah, I was a bunch of. I think I did 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And I did various voices in there. What we do, it's interesting work, and it's very difficult to find actors who can do what I'm able to do. It's not like I don't think it's a talent, more so as I have the ability to scream and yell for the amount of time that we have to do that. So when they find actors who can do that and can do it, consistently.
Yeah, you're on a very short list.
Yeah,
of people
so it's like
we got 4 more in the pipeline.
But
get down
also
here.
he can do this, and then we're like, hey, we got to do these other various voices in the background, and it requires a lot from you, and not from an acting standpoint, honestly, just from a vocal support standpoint. And I fell into that niche, and
that's a good niche to be a part of.
Yeah.
Voice work, animation work. Video game stuff.
Yeah.
Although it's very impressive, it's still a very short list to be a part of. And if you get your foot in the door, you're pretty much set because they like to pass them around and do different things. They gave you a free copy of the game each time you did it, right?
I had gotten free copies of the game.
Because sometimes we heard from people like, no, I didn't even know I had an action figure.
Yeah. No, sometimes that's how you find out.
Right.
Somebody's like, hey, can you sign my action? You're like, where'd you get that? I can't tell you how many times I've said to people, where'd you get that?
Like,
I want to get one of those. No, exactly. I want a little chibi from Hawaiian Hot Tropics or whatever it's called. I haven't seen these.
Well,
It's been
I'm
out
in
for
that
months.
same boat right now because and I'm killing myself because I forgot. I'm a huge Funko Pop fan, and I forgot to go pick up your Funko Pop because that's what I always do, and I'll have to just get it next time you're around.
Oh, no problem.
And you should go out there and get it too because he may or may not be here for season 7. We don't know how it's going to turn out. So
I
get
may
it.
not be here for episode 10.
Oh no! The Walking Dead on AMC.
So a 3-person funeral, possibly.
Oh my god, is that the best part about the show? Is just like throwing out fake spoilers? Like, I'm gonna die tomorrow.
You know what the best part of
That's
the show,
where you should be a nervous wreck, not Call of Duty.
Nah, it's all good. It's we all know we're going to die at some point. The best part about it is actually seeing what the fans take and run with, and how they, it's literally like paparazzi news all the time. They take one little fact that is an actual fact, and they run with it and twist it up. And usually it's, not even usually, always, it's so wrong. And it's fun. But they have a great time with it. So, I would argue that we have the most enthusiastic fans of any TV show out there.
The Walking Dead, Sundays, 10 p.m. on AMC. We are officially out of time. Michael, your Twitter is what? Is just your last name?
Cudlitz.
Just Cudlitz.
Cudlitz.
That's great.
Send him some
I'm sure
love
that
on
I'm
there.
pissing off the rest of my family because I've taken over our name as basically the social media for me.
Hey, you're the more important one right now. You're paying the bills.
No.
Michael Cudlitz, thank you. Next time you're in New York, let's talk about some of your other stuff there too, along with Walking Dead. And we didn't even get to. I wanted to explore Southland a little bit, but next time.
All good.
All right, take care.
Look forward to it, guys. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great opportunity for myself and for those of you listening. We've been following the saga of Deadpool ever since the footage was, quote, leaked, as Ryan Reynolds calls it, I think back in 2014, right after Comic-Con, and then everything got in motion, and Deadpool was full steam ahead, and now it's out. And there were some other characters that showed up in the trailer that everyone was surprised to see and very excited to see because, and we'll get to this later, they're doing your character right this time from the X-Men movies. Little off, but now they got it right. Please say hello to Stefan
Kapicic, or maybe it's easier to say Kapicic.
Stefan Kapicic.
Perfect. Thank you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing really great. I'm so excited about all these things happening, with Deadpool, and so many great reviews about my role as Colossus. So right. I'm so excited and so happy these days.
I was looking into your background here, and you've pretty much now hit everything you possibly can do in acting because you were doing television, you were doing movies over in Europe, you were even doing stage performances. Yeah. You were in Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're going to be in the big American sensation of superhero comic book movies.
Yeah, well, I'm a really lucky guy. I have to say that, God loves me because, there's so many things in my life that I wanted, and I got it. So I just I like to tell other people, everything can happen, so just go for it. Believe in yourself, and that can happen. My biggest childhood dream is to be a superhero, and I was a Marvel comic fan, and a geek still, and I am still. So my biggest dream is to become a superhero, and now I am.
Up until, I'll say, roughly the last 10 years, everybody, a young boy, no matter where you are in the world, at one point wanted to be, an astronaut or a policeman or a superhero and stuff like that. But you never really had the chance to be a superhero until now, and you hit it right at the hot point.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of, some sort of a secret plan, If you cannot become a superhero, real superhero, then you have to become an actor. That's right. The only way to become a superhero, So I did it. That's why I am an actor, to become this what I am today. Well, but yeah, of course, I'm joking. But still, being in a possibility, to have all these things, all this fuss, everything, that comes with Deadpool is something unbelievable for me. I did so many things in my career, more than like 70, 80 roles on television and in theater a lot, in films. But, the things that Deadpool is bringing with itself are like unexplainable, It's the fan base. There's nothing similar to this.
Yeah, good that you pointed out the fan base because your life is definitely changing.
Oh, yeah.
Because of this now. You will be hounded everywhere you go to sign some kind of toy or print out or a poster or something like that.
Well, thank God for that, because I am a comic book fan and a geek, so that's why I'm, if to be in the other position, because I was the one that was like asking people to sign my comic books. Hugh Jackman asked Hugh Jackman to sign a Wolverine a long time ago, so now I'm in the other position, so I will like give every single autograph to every fan that approaches me, because I understand their position, because I still am a fan, so I'll be more than welcome to give autograph or take a picture with a fan.
Hugh Jackman signed for. How was your encounter with him? Was he nice?
He was amazing. He was really cool. He's a great actor though, and he's a great person. So I watched. It was a year ago though. It wasn't like a long time ago. It was in New York. Okay. Yeah.
All right, I'm thinking.
I tried to hide, but no, it was a year ago, and it was during his performance on Broadway. He was doing a play called River, and I just approached him after the performance was amazing. So I just came and I said, "Please, Hugh, can you just give me an autograph for my Wolverine?" And so he did. He was really cool. So. It was just like a year ago, and now I'm in a different position.
The way you made it sound, I thought it was like a while back, and I was like, wow. All I could think of, well, if he was kind of a dick to you in that experience, you're now in his universe. So if they do bring your characters together, then you can be like, okay, it's payback for Wolverine for being such a dick. He wouldn't sign my poster.
No. Well, all those big, huge stars are really cool people. I worked with a lot of them, so they're down to earth. Because they have everything they want, and they're doing the thing because they love it. So I met Robert Downey Jr., so many of those really A-listers, and even Ryan Reynolds, who's Deadpool. That's one of the best people that I met in my life, and one of the most talented actors that I knew.
Got to talk to him not too long ago, and when we were done, we took photos in the hallway.
Yeah,
and it was one of those moments I had where what I was thinking came out my mouth before I could control it. So we took a photo, and I went, God damn, he smells amazing. He turned around and he went, thanks.
Yeah.
Just in front of publicists and all these other people. I'm like, I have no inner monologue. It just kind of blurted out.
That's really cool, though. Well, I smell good though.
You do,
yeah.
And by the way, you saying that you're self-proclaimed lifelong comic book geek.
Yeah.
Ladies, if you haven't seen what he looks like, Google him. He looks nothing like us. He's totally. He says he's part of this world, but I think he's faking it.
No, I was working on myself, because of my acting career on the other side. But I am.
He's got the accent, he's got the well-groomed beard and the clothing. It's I don't have a chance sitting next to this guy. Leave some for the rest of us, sir.
Okay, yeah. I promise I will.
Let's talk about Deadpool, the movie itself. A lot of interesting things with this. We've mentioned that demo footage that they made to try to get the movie was leaked in 2014, roughly around the San Diego Comic-Con time. Now, Ryan Reynolds has said that they were trying for the longest time to get this movie created and greenlit by Fox, and they just wouldn't do it, so they went out and made their own footage to show what it would be like, and that this would definitely be something that should be part of the 20th Century Fox Marvel universe. Didn't do anything. Once it got leaked, it blew up the internet, as they say, and everyone went crazy, to the point that all of a sudden now everybody who wasn't calling them back can't get them on the phone fast enough to get this whole thing going. So within a year's time, it was a phenomenon. They just finished editing and completing the movie in December of 2015. It comes out for Valentine's Day weekend in 2016.
It was finished, as Tim told me, in the beginning of January.
That's even less time.
Yeah. But the result, and the movie itself is perfect. It's amazing. I don't know what to say. I'm a big, as I said, a fan, but I saw all those comic book movies. But Deadpool brings with it something totally different. He's a game changer, definitely. It's an R-rated movie because it's such a clever movie, and it's going to approach not only fans, not only people that love superhero movies, then to approach the other adult audience, like my parents that watched it yesterday in Serbia, in Belgrade. So you don't believe how they react. Not only my parents, my friends, everybody, all everything is sold out in Europe. In ex-Yugoslavia region, and people are raving about Deadpool. So, Deadpool is approaching to something that even Avengers couldn't, because it's totally different. It's not only because it's R-rated, more because it's so clever. It's
very honest in it.
It's very honest. Yeah, that's perfectly said. It's very honest. And you have so many new characters, and you have some characters that finally have their own time on the film, thank God, Colossus. And you have Ryan Reynolds, who is Wade Wilson. This, nobody else can play Wade Wilson as good as Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Definitely.
One of the cool things about Deadpool and the honesty that it has, in certain sequences, they're taking shots at the character he portrayed for DC, the Green Lantern, because that didn't go well. He wasn't happy with that experience. They did mock posters for it. There's some stuff in the movie which we won't give away, so people can see it, where he's taking shots at that. He's taking shots at himself, Ryan Reynolds, with a cover of a certain magazine where he's making fun of himself. But
I'm not going to spoil it.
Having Deadpool point out the flaws of everything that's going on and making up stuff, because there's points where it kind of seems like he was wishing that he would join the Marvel Disney universe, even though he's part of the Marvel Fox universe, which I was amazed they let him get away with that. Taking shots at what X-Men is doing with two different Professor Xaviers in there. And he goes, which timeline? It's so confusing. But I think the way they fix Colossus is that they have Colossus back in its original comic book form for the Deadpool movie.
Yes.
The previous X-Men movies had Colossus, but he was shorter. He wasn't exactly the same. Deadpool can turn around and go, bring you into the X-Men movies, and then talk to the the audience, talk to the camera, saying like how they fucked up or something like that, and then bring you in there, and then everything will be okay, because the rest of the movie won't know that there's a difference, but he's telling the audience, yeah, they kind of screwed up, here's the real Colossus.
Well, unfortunately, in X-Men franchise, you have Daniel Cudlitz, who's really a good actor, but they didn't care about Colossus, which is really a shame, because Colossus is one of the well-known and one of the original X-Men in one way, so he's an iconic character from 1975 till now, so they give him so little, time, and it was he looked strange though, so Tim Miller finally decided to, bring the real Colossus, the real comic book authentic Colossus back to life, and thank God for that, because people love him so much. So I think we're going to see Colossus much more now.
Yeah, the Colossus you portray is definitely what the comic book has. He's 7.5 feet. He's metallic skin with the flat top cut.
Yes.
But in the X-Men, he was maybe 6 foot tall, and he looked like he was liquid silver, like the Terminator.
He looked like Terminator. Yeah, absolutely. That was really strange because Colossus needs to look like this, and he needs to speak with a Russian accent. He's a Russian guy,
He's a big gentle giant until you piss him off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So he's a gentleman. He's old-fashioned superhero, some sort of a Marvel Universe Superman, He's just, goes for justice. He doesn't swear. He's a kind guy. He's like an old Russian poet soul, and that's perfect that Tim Miller, gave fans and gave them, the Colossus we all imagined how he should look. Still, we don't have his human form. I hope we're going to see it soon, and I pray for that. And on the other side, we have brilliant contrast between Deadpool's character, and I don't think that any other character, from Marvel Universe could be that such a good contrast to Deadpool's character,
When Colossus realized there's an event happening, and he's watching the news, and then they're describing the guy, and he's just like eating breakfast in a house at the mansion, and then he goes, "Oh, it's Deadpool." He comes off like the father that can't control his kid. Exactly. So even when Deadpool's being such a dick and fighting you guys and everything, and doesn't want to listen to your reasoning, you're still talking to him you're caring for the guy. It's one day you'll figure this out, you'll come around, and maybe you'll join us, and you'll see how much better it is. He's going, "Fuck you, Dad," that kind of thing. Exactly. But you're coming around all right, he's 18. I can't do anything. He's not living in my house anymore. One day he'll figure all this out.
Yeah, well, Colossus will never stop. He's ultimate, superhero. He's ultimate good. So he will never stop trying to pursue Deadpool to become one of the X-Men, to use his powers for good, So that's the thing that's why Colossus is so specific, because all the other characters like Wolverine, they have their ups and downs, going bad, but Colossus is a straightforward guy, He knows what his mission is to, try to make bad people good, or, good people that are doing good things in a bad way, like Deadpool, just to bring him to use his powers for good and to become one of the X-Men. So that's one of the biggest qualities of Colossus.
right before the movie was coming out, they put out in the press that it looked like they had already greenlit the sequel to Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds said, well, let's not be presumptuous, but let's see how the movie does. But everyone kind of got the feeling that this is one of those things that, of course, there's going to be a sequel to this. Has there been any talks to you that, like, not committing, but they said, hey, if we ever did another one, would you have interest in coming back?
Well, as a matter of fact, I just heard about it, like, yesterday, that the sequel is greenlit, so I don't know anything right now, if I can be honest. What's going to happen? I hope so, and I'm praying that, because people and fans, they adore Colossus, so it would be a shame not to have him, like, in a sequel. And plus, if we have, like, X-Force or Cable, Colossus was a part of X-Force one moment, Excalibur, so, he is someone that Deadpool brought to life. And I was reading some of the reviews, and there's, I don't know which review was that, but somebody said, like, I would like to see, like, Colossus and Deadpool always together because it looks like Tango and Cash, that kind of, buddy movie. So I think that Deadpool is going to, like, Colossus is going to last with Deadpool side by side for a long time. And he's still going to, like, pursue him to become an X-Men, which is, like, really cool. And, he's just always trying to get him to understand that he's a good guy. But, Deadpool just doesn't care. That's Deadpool.
I don't know if about Tango and Cash. I'm thinking more of, like, Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like twins.
Yeah, maybe more twins. Yeah, in that way.
How far into the production did you come into? Because they were already working on it. When did they bring you in to start doing the voices?
I started working after I got the job. That was like late August, beginning of the September. So I was working with Tim for like 4 months. That was the process that I couldn't like tell anyone what I'm doing and why am I flying to LA all the time. But I was like doing such a big thing, so I had to stay quiet about a movie. But we were like working for like 4 months. They finished a lot of those action scenes and the things they were like filming in Vancouver. So I started when they started like doing all those CGI things and then post-production things because Colossus was just like we had like a stunt double who was just like there as a referral to other actors. So after they finished shooting all the scenes, all those things, then I joined.
You just missed out on the big San Diego Comic-Con experience because they had the big Fox Marvel family photo that they did together with Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and the X-Men Apocalypse all there together, and you start the month right after it.
Yes, I know, and it hurts, I have to tell you. I saw the picture, but, now I'm a part of that, so who knows? Maybe I'm going to have, like, more of those.
Find someone who can Photoshop and just stand in front of a green screen and see if they can just kind of work you in. And like, when was Stefan there? I kind of missed it. Oh, he was just there for the day.
That's Colossus, as a movie version. They're standing there behind.
The merchandising, there hasn't been too much for Colossus recently, except for Funko Pop has their little figures that put the Colossus. So now that the movie is in full force and when it comes out and it'll do well, you'll start to see the Deadpool figures start coming out. Is Colossus part of that line?
The thing is, I don't know. I hope it is, but I think there's like something between Marvel and Fox about merchandising, who has the rights to, So that's a bigger, higher politics. I would love to, and I would hope that, I have the pop Colossus.
I saw it on your Twitter. Yeah,
a few days ago. I just got it as a present from my PR's friend, and that's like a really amazing gift. And so I hope so, those T-shirts and all those things, because people are gonna, they love Colossus right now. So I think that can be like, it's gonna be like selling like crazy.
Let me take care of all your gift giving for the rest of the year, okay? Because we can put you in touch with Funko. You just get a box of them, and now that covers birthday presents and Christmas for this year.
Yes.
Every family member.
That would be perfect. That's a perfect gift for me now,
I want to touch back a little bit on your love for comic books and everything. I read something that your grandfather gave you your first comic book.
Well, yeah.
What was the comic book?
Wolverine.
It was Wolverine.
Yeah, it was Wolverine, and then it was a pile of comic books, So I was 6 years old, so I saw the pile. There was like some store. They were like getting the comic books from the States, Marvel Comics only. So I saw the pile, and my grandpa was okay. Take one or two, and I was 6 years old and I see all those like Wolverine, X-Men, Punisher, Spider-Man. You cannot decide which one. So I was like, maybe this one, Grandpa, maybe that one, maybe. But in the end, my Grandpa saw the terror, in my face. I couldn't decide. I was ready to start crying, And he said, "Okay, let's take all of them." So I will never forget that moment. That was the time when I entered the Marvel universe.
How frequent were the new comics coming into where you were growing up?
Once a month, approximately, not like here, like every week, but once a month. But it would like come from all, from Marvel, DC, because we had like so many of those magazines that would like reprint them, on Serbian or Croatian language, and then when they do the print of it, they just like sell the original copies.
So you were reading them in your native language, not in English?
No, I was reading them on English. The other were reading it on Serbian, but I always want to like original everything. So I was 6-year-old, but I was raised and I understood like my uncle was sending me tapes from New York because he lived here like for 20 years. So he was like filming cartoons and everything without titles. So he would send me VHS tapes, in Serbian. I would like watch, and I learned English through that.
What cartoons was he sending you?
Inspector Gadget, He-Man. Yeah, and the Masters of the Universe. That was one of my favorite ones.
You ever look back at it now and realize how awful the animation was?
Yeah.
It's like he keeps running through the same forest in every episode.
Yeah. From today's perspective, yeah. But in those days, that was like, even Transformers.
Or even Voltron.
Thundercats, Voltron.
Voltron was easy. You watch the first 2 minutes to see the setup for the story, skip everything else, get to the last 2 minutes because you see the lions battle the robot, kill the robot, and then there's the jokey ending.
The same way. They're killing it always, just like a big scratch through him. They just kill him in the same way in every cartoon. Always. Just like a different robot, but they kill it in the same way.
But they never learned every episode because the individual cats would try to fight it and it didn't work. Then they formed the robot and then it sort of worked and like, oh wait, do the sword and then do it. It's like, just jump to the sword and be done and go home. 5 minutes.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Now when you're telling me that, yeah, I can see that.
Sorry to ruin your childhood.
Yeah, you destroyed it right now, yeah. Shame on you.
For the American listeners and Canadian listeners who may not know a lot of your work, because a lot of your stuff was done over in Europe and on stage, you were in 24, you were in The Event and the show Numbers, which was on the CBS. And in Unit.
Yeah, and I did like movie Big Miracle with Ken Kwapis in Alaska with Drew Barrymore, Ted Danson, John Krasinski. I did that was like a really small role. And Brothers Bloom. That was directed by a new director of Star Wars, Rian Johnson. And that was like 10 years ago in Belgrade. That was my first contact with Hollywood at all. It was with Adrian Brody, Mark Ruffalo, who was Maximilian Schell, Rachel Weisz. It was like really good. And the girl from Babel, Rinko Kikuchi. Yeah, so that was my first experience, like long time ago. But if you blink during watching the Brothers Bloom, you wouldn't see me. If you do that,
We'll have to go and screen cap that. Never been a better time to be a comic book fan or a collector of anything. What franchises do you want to see have the opportunity to go to the big screen, or what characters would you like to see show up on the big screen?
I would like to see definitely X-Force. I would love to see Punisher again in some better version, because I think Punisher deserves that. He's one of my favorite characters.
They brought him back for Daredevil.
I heard that, but I wouldn't comment that right away. Still, who else? Well, we have everything right now, so I would love to see Kraven the Hunter on the big screen, and I think I can do that. Though he's like the Russian guy, we resemble a little bit. Who else? What else? Juggernaut. To have Juggernaut maybe like in a Deadpool sequel or something like that, fighting Colossus. That would be a good fight for, that would be really cool. I would love to see Liana, Colossus' sister, Magique.
Okay.
That would be cool. And I don't know, there are so many of those characters, so I don't know like who own rights on which one, so I don't know if I can talk more about it.
What merchandise would you like to see for Colossus? Because they'll make everything and anything. What would you like to see that you would like to personally own?
Well, everything though. But if I have to choose, like T-shirts,
bed sheets,
bed sheets, yeah. If we can like make, how do you say that, like kind of mask his haircut, you know, but like in a way of like.
So instead of the mask, you're just wearing the cap.
Just the cap, like looking at his like like helmet, yeah. His hair will look like helmet, but. Toys. I would love to see like toys, but with this, like, you know, the Colossus that we made, you know, in Deadpool, that version of Colossus, not the X-Men old version.
With your deal for the movies, do you have a deal for? They already made a Deadpool video game, but I'm sure they'll make another one, or maybe an animated series, or toys that will speak and have sound effects, stuff like that. Are you signed on for any of that to lend your voice to those things?
I cannot like talk about it, but I hope that's going to happen soon. But you know, there's like a really good video game that I'm playing for a long time, even like before I was cast for Colossus, and that's Marvel Champions. Mm-hmm. And I have like Colossus as the leader of my team before I become Colossus, which is totally crazy. So I would love to contact those guys and just tell them, let's make him speak.
I was going to say, do you speak while you're playing the game?
Yes, always, yeah. Come, Deadpool, I will destroy you. No.
Or if something goes wrong.
This is the punch, you know?
Like this. If you're playing the game, something goes wrong, you just throw the controller. You're like, this is Boulder Dash.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that definitely. Yo.
Deadpool is out in the theaters right now. Stefan, thank you so much for your time. It was really exciting to see Colossus done right in this movie here, and they'll have to work him in for future stuff if they do the crossovers with X-Men or whatever they're going to do, because now it's established. I'm sure Deadpool will make some kind of blurb so it fixes the problem and nobody says anything anymore. It's like, oh yeah, Deadpool explained it. We just move on and forget about the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. You're amazing. You have such clever questions, and it was really a pleasure of mine to work with you.
I try to work really hard so I don't have to really work in my real life.
Oh, thank you again. Thank you. Great.
Before we go, I just want to say that don't get jaded by the fact that you're just the voice and not the guy portraying or the actual character, because there's so many characters that are infamous for the voice and not the guy playing the figure. Darth Vader is James Earl Jones, Frank Welker is Optimus Prime, and now you are Colossus.
Yeah, even the Groot, Vin Diesel, or Bradley Cooper is the Rocket Raccoon, though, or Ultron.
Right.
It's James Spader. So, I love this because I have one more option, and that's to become Colossus in a human form, or to be maybe even some other Marvel superhero. So you never know. That's a good thing about it. And everybody will know, the Colossus's voice, which is really specific.
Well, you're in a very elite club, and I couldn't be happy for you, sir. I just want to make sure I got your Twitter right, and everyone can check you out.
Yes.
You want to give out your Twitter?
Yeah, at Stefan Kapicic, or at StefanKapicic.
There we go. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back to It's Erik Nagel. 866-969-1969 is the phone number. Upside down, you turn to me. Turn to me.
Stick to broadcasting. So.
Yes, I am not a rapper or an R&B singer. Matt O.G., Giddles, and our pal Brian Johnson from Comic Book Men and Tell 'em Steve Dave here in studio. Thank you very much to Michael Cudlitz. Tweet out to him. It's Cudlitz, Cudlitz on Twitter. If you like the interview and everything, show him some love and, say you heard him on this show. Also for Stefan, I'm not going to get this wrong, but it's
Giddles?
Kapicic.
I have no idea.
It's Stefan Kapicic.
We did a whole episode of Eric saying people's names wrong.
I've been working on sweepers. It's coming. It started. The one that's done is Chris Romeo. So that one's in there. I'm working on it. Believe me, I don't have any problems taking shots at myself. But it's StefanKapicic on Twitter. It's his whole name. You just start typing it and you'll find Kapicic.
Sure.
And tweet out to him, especially if you saw Deadpool and whatnot. He couldn't have been cooler. When I found out he was in the city, he was at a hotel not far from here, and his rep said, "Do you want to just come over to the hotel?" And I was like, "Yep." Grabbed the recorder and went. I don't know how it sounded on the air, but unfortunately, because it wasn't our recorder, it was recorded at a lower quality than the one I like to do, so it gets that little bit of a squeak to it.
No.
For you audiophiles out there. But
it sounded gritty.
Yeah, but I think it sounded like I streamed it through Real Player. That's what it was.
Wow,
that's a
real player.
Yes. You youngins. So do all that cool stuff. And Brian was nice enough to tweet out that we have some of these micro figures from Comic Book Men that is signed by everybody on the show, and the phones could not have blown up faster. So what we'll do here is we'll give these away, and then we're going to move on to talk about a couple of television things here.
We have a loyal fucking following.
You
man.
do.
I love our audience, man. They're the best.
Just hope they never turn on you.
Yeah, right. We a couple weeks ago I did the Impractical Jokers cruise.
Okay.
Now it was like a real cruise. I thought it was like going to be other people and stuff. Quinn said, "Hey, do you want to come on?"
They were going to sink the boat as a joke.
Yeah, right.
That old gag.
Only one
Iceberg.
lifeboat, and there's an orchestra playing to your death.
We'll do a couple shows. Just come on the cruise. And I was like, all right. I mean, fine. You get paid to go on a cruise. That's all right. That's pretty good. Yeah. So we left from Miami. We went down to Cozumel and came on back. But the Impractical Jokers people, they're so nice. All of them. They're just even if they don't know you, they have no idea who I am, most of them. But what really fucking made me happy was the number of Tell 'em Steve Dave fans that turned out just to go to Space Monkeys, the show that Q and I do when Walt's not around. It was actually really touching, to see that many people dig something that I'm like, I didn't even know you would be aware of it.
What's that like?
Adoration. How does adoration feel like? Because
positive support. What is this?
We're all sitting here.
Tell us another one, Dad.
Yeah, it was like
Tell us about the good old days.
What's it like having friends?
One of the best things about that cruise is they don't know that you're not their equal, like some of the bigger people. So I sat down with Gilbert Gottfried and had lunch with him, and I'm just shooting the shit with someone I've always wanted to meet and never, I wasn't like, oh, I'm a biggest fan and all that kind of shit. I just kind of sat down with him. He doesn't know who the fuck I am.
Right.
Just talks to you like you're a normal person. We're joking around. He's making obscure references to 1930s silent films and shit.
Did he say he had to go to the bathroom and skipped out on the bill? Because he's notoriously cheap.
Yeah, he told a couple stories about being cheap, but yeah, all the food was included, so I knew I was safe.
Just letting you know, just in case.
Do you ever listen to his podcast?
I do.
It's amazing.
One of my favorite episodes is the Steve Buscemi episode where he pretends to not know him.
The entire episode.
An hour of just laughing at him.
Yeah. And Steve was so good spirited. He went along with it. That was a really good episode.
Yeah.
They just put out one with Dick Van Dyke. And
I haven't listened to that.
Yeah, the stories he tells about the TV show, dealing with his name, has been really funny, and how he's consistently voted every year in Britain as who portrays the worst British impression, and it's him for Mary Poppins. He's always at the top of this list, and he says it's a real lifetime honor.
If I had one fanboy moment, it was with Gilbert. It was I had to tell him that out of all the roasts on Comedy Central I've ever seen, I can't remember who they were roasting, but
it was the 9/11 one, right?
It was the one where Ice-T went up and he gave a very bizarre he's not a comedian, obviously, but
I know what you're talking about now.
Threatening white people, saying he was going to follow them home and he was going to rape them and kill them and all this other really bizarre shit. And people are like, oh, all right, Ice-T. And then Gilbert was the next guy up and he did his exact act.
He's like, I'm gonna rape all you white bitches.
It was
and kill all you motherfuckers.
It was fucking brilliant. And I said, please, you got to tell me, was that planned or was that off the cuff? And he said, no, it was off the cuff. I said, you are a comic fucking genius. As if you didn't know that already. I was so impressed by that. That moment of I'm going to abandon my entire roast and just do what he did. Yeah. Genius, man.
I think I might have it here. Hang on. There it is.
Cloture and didn't allow.
Wait, that's not. Oh, that's the TV. That's this one. Sorry.
This evening went by so quick. It just seemed like it started 50 hours ago, and here I am. Everyone else, it's so bad coming on after this because everyone else did my act already. It's like Ice-T did my whole act right now, so I'll do it anyway. I'm gonna follow you white motherfuckers home and rape you f***ing white white bitches. You see, it's such a strong bit, it still works. I'm gonna shoot some of you white motherfuckers. See, when a joke works, it just works, no matter how many times you hear it.
There you go.
So good. I mean, that is fucking brilliant, man.
Oh, I love Gilbert. Yeah, check out Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast with our friend Frank Santopadre,
Love
his
Frank.
co-host.
Frank's great.
We're running out of time here. Let's give some of these away. Pick a number between 1 and 10.
I'll go with 6.
6, and this is David in California. David.
Hey, what's up? I'm right here, man.
How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
You sound thrilled to be on the radio.
Sounds high as shit.
Absolutely. What's up, Brian?
How's it going, David? David, I have to. There's a caveat. I'm looking at these mini-mates, and it doesn't appear Kevin signed them. I can forge his signature, or I'll just send it as is. That's up to you.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to go stand outside his house and make him sign them.
That's even better.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, I know how much he loves that.
Yeah, he used to have problems with the Hollywood tours coming by because, he bought the house from Affleck. So they thought Affleck still lived there. And they would come by and they would see Kevin and be like, who's this guy?
Well, maybe change the name on the mailbox.
Could be, yeah. Could be a problem.
All right, Dave, we're going to put you on hold, and you win the signed, what is it? What are they called?
Mini-mates. Comic Book Men Mini-mates.
Signed by everybody from Comic Book Men, sans Kevin Smith.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, you're on hold, and pick one more number.
I'll go with 8.
8. Eric in Ohio.
Hello?
Hello. That is you,
Hello?
sir. Hi.
Hi.
Eric in Ohio.
Wow, this is a good one.
This is Eric in Ohio?
All right, Brian, you be the judge. Keep this or we dump it. And,
I don't know, Eric, can you show us a little more charisma?
More charisma?
Yeah, come on.
I listen to Tell 'em Steve Dave every week.
All right, that's enough from me. What are you doing, Ohio, Eric? What's your thing?
I'm actually a co-manager for the biggest retailer in the world. I'll leave them nameless.
Walmart.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yes.
Wow, he folded fast.
That was pretty quick.
Do you watch Superstore on NBC?
Yeah, I do watch that show.
Do you like it because you work at the unnamed box store?
Yeah, you can definitely tell that whoever's writing for that show has worked or has inside knowledge, because some of the terms and the things that they do on there are spot on. I mean, it's obviously exaggerated, but there's stuff that they say on there, or things that we do at the store that there's no way they would know that without having an insider in there.
So there's hope that you could be a Hollywood writer someday.
There you go. Oh, silver lining.
The stuff I've seen in my store, especially the one I'm at here in Columbus, I've had a lady give birth in my hardware department. Last week we had, I don't know if you know, Roman.
Why the fact that it was in the hardware department?
Yeah, not the baby
so
department.
Funny.
I'm sure you probably had people conceive in the house.
They were actually trapped in the store for 9 months.
Yeah, I had a guy. He actually dropped dead during my shift in the middle of my electronics department. Apparently, he was a huffer. He was about to steal some canned air and just dropped dead in the middle of my department.
So was it like that?
Shift.
Was it the computer key cleaner or like spray paint?
No, it was the computer.
Yeah, that leaves way less trace evidence. Like, you don't end up looking like the fucking Tin Man when you use computer
At
key
least if
cleaner.
it was spray paint, you could paint the outline of the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, just last night we actually stopped 2 ladies. We watched them on our security cameras. They spent 4 hours in our store bagging about $2,500 worth of merchandise, and then they went to try to push it out, and we stopped them, and then they decided that, we paid for it all, and we're like, we just watched you on camera for 3 hours, and they went to jail, but they just still out the door saying we paid for it, and definitely did not. But you see stuff like that every day. It's crazy.
So far, none of these stories touch this one that Walt heard from a security guard in Kmart.
Yeah.
Who said that he was working one day, and I guess a disgruntled customer went to the back of the store in one of the lesser traveled aisles and took a shit, like pulled his pants out, took a shit right in the middle of the aisle, and then just fucking strolled off. And I guess somebody came upon it and was like, "Oh,
slipped."
Now, whose job is that, right? Because security guard, I'm like, no way. If somebody took a shit in the aisle at your unnamed box store, who's responsible?
We have maintenance people there all day that would do that. I did have an issue with that once. We had somebody basically destroy our bathroom. This is when I worked at another store in Youngstown, Ohio. Basically destroy the bathroom, and the maintenance person for some reason called off that day, and a manager, I wasn't a manager at the time, I was an hourly associate, ended up giving an associate a $25 gift card if they wanted to clean it up.
Oh my God.
So that's the value of shit, is $25.
Well, they say that a lot of people that work at that store are on food stamps, so $25 is probably like,
it's
fuck
huge.
Yeah, I'll clean up some shit.
I caught a guy pleasuring himself in the Japanese anime porn section of my Suncoast.
That was a mirror you were looking at.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
You know those mirrors in the corner where they...
Yeah. I did not have to clean it up.
There's three of them. Three of the guys. Triplets jerking off.
They're coming at me in every direction. Literally.
Eric, Sunday, Jeff making a return.
Eric, do you have any stories as far as Black Friday goes? Like, did you have a discounted Blu-ray player that people just, maybe started lighting each other on fire or beating each other up?
No, it's weird. Like, you would think it would be stuff like that. The worst fights I've ever seen are...
Cabbage Patch dolls.
It's actually been pretty common. It was like 2 years ago that we had towels for like $2, like regular. And I mean, they're towels. It's $2. What are they going to be? And people were just tearing them apart. I think it was the same year in the news that some lady had mace. It was that year, but I've never seen anything like that happen, especially since they stopped shutting the doors. Like when we stay open 24 hours, it made it a lot calmer. People were in the store, they get what they want and get out instead of having that stampede at the front. That definitely wasn't good. That has been scary in the past. Yeah, I've been there for 14 years as an hourly all the way up to co-manager. But it gets crazy. But
I worked at those stores back in the long ago, and you'd be surprised. And it's women who fight and argue and throw shit and scream. When do you know what WIC is? WIC?
Oh, yeah. I definitely know what WIC is.
Yeah,
it's like the welfare food stamp thing,
where you get a shopping list of approved places, and then you can buy certain products that WIC covers it. So you're not technically spending any money, but you have to buy within their guidelines. And there might be a certain brand of egg that they have to buy, and it's not the General eggs that they have. It's another brand but that is not carried as in much frequency as the General eggs that Walmart would carry. And there'd be like one or two left, and when the eggs are broken, you're kind of mixing and matching to try to get a perfect carton. And there's one carton, and then they're screaming, "I had this thing first." No, you didn't. There's kids in the carts. They start throwing shit and then pushing each other.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you see...
Sounds like getting French toast that night.
My favorite Black Friday story is, I can't remember. Oh, it was actually the Cabbage Patch, and a lady was whipping other people with a fishing pole, like whipping their backs, like strapping.
Now, did you see this, or did you hear that first?
No. I read it in the newspaper at the time. There really online wasn't a thing, but I read it in the newspaper. I was like, holy shit! Like somebody is like holding people back with a. Where the fuck she got the fishing pole? I don't know.
Probably
in the sports section. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine that? Just feeling the sting of that lash across your neck. You're like, what the fuck was that?
No Cabbage Patch Kid is worth that.
Eric, I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to get your information, all right? We're running out of time here.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem. So thank you to the Ants, and what's the other one, the 13 Percenters?
The 13 Percenters.
From Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Yeah.
Do you have a fan name for Comic Book Man?
The fan name for... No, I don't... I mean, do we have one?
No, that's what I was asking. I didn't know if you did.
I don't think so, no.
Geeks.
Yeah, I guess geeks. Yeah. The 13 Percenters are the females, because we did a poll to see how many, but it has to have gone up because a lot of girls from the Impractical Jokers have come over to listen because of Quinn, and then they stay because they like it. And that was the other thing, like so many females are into that Impractical Jokers show. It's pretty great. We did a thing where like people write fiction, like IJ porn fiction, You got to look it up. It's genius.
Oh, no.
It
All
is
right.
genius, man.
All right.
Like, I wasn't aware of it until these two girls told me about it. It's like real life people or something, fiction it's called, and they get these guys into some fucking sexy situations.
All right.
Why don't you try to get Quinn to reenact some of it?
Yeah, we would.
That would be a good episode.
Get him over here. We can read some of it.
Yeah, we
did
do that.
We did it last week on on Space Monkeys. Yeah, I could have him come in. I'll bring him and Sal.
There you go.
A lot of it is those two. So
yeah, we'd love to have them in. We are unfortunately out of time, so we're going to have to go around the room to the plugs. Apologies to Giddles. I'll need your help here on her name.
Denai Gurira.
There you go. He can roll the R's. I can't do that. We'll get to her next week. We do apologize. The signed Walking Dead figures we'll do with that next week. And we'll still figure out a way to do the Deadpool thing, too. Thank you to Michael Cudlitz, The Walking Dead, Sunday nights, 9 p.m.,
Yeah,
right,
9.
on AMC. And Stefan Kapicic, whatever, on Deadpool out in theaters right now. Go see it if you haven't done so. Go around the room. Matthew.
GeekStuffOG on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me there. And, of course, bkgeekstuff.com for my weekly podcast.
There you go. And if you have any ideas or a free sump pump, send it to Matt.
Yeah, sump pump, plumbing advice.
Giddles, you didn't win the chocolate takedown.
I did not, but I have the meatball takedown coming up March 20th, so we'll see what happens. But
I'm excited.
Gittle Base on the Twitter and Instagram and the Xbox Live if you want to add me and figure out a multiplayer game we can play.
Cool.
Mr. Brian Johnson, our nation's eyes turn to you.
Tell him Steve Dave the podcast at Tell him Steve Dave on Twitter, and this Sunday Comic Book Men with Impractical Joker's Brian Quinn, which is really the more important cast member here, at midnight on AMC.
Fantastic.
All right, I think that takes care of everything else.
I think so.
Next week, Rachel Harris will be on the show from Lucifer. We didn't get to talk about Lucifer, but we'll save that for next week. Of course, the Walking Dead stuff, and who knows what will come 7 days from now. For me, it's eRock Radio on Twitter and Instagram, but more importantly, the show. It's Erik Nagel, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, and everywhere else books are sold.
Indeed.
All right. I think that's everything, right?
I think so.
We're all good? Good? Good.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, everybody, be seeing you.
It's Erik Nagel. And that's all the time we have. Follow the show at It's Erik Nagel on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Unless we do something stupid or something better comes along. We'll be back next time here on OP Radio.